I feel good.
Sports Radio is back.
McDavid trying to come in with speed. Here he comes. McDavid shoots. Top shot. He scores. The Oilers kept him on the overtime winner.
The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
The 3-2. And drilled to left center field. Grand slam, George Springer.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Second and 10 as that Tennessee defense drops back. As long as trying to make a diving from 10 there. From 10 goes inside the 10. Still not down. Oh, what a run. Out of this world.
And I feel nice. That sugar is fine. I feel nice. That sugar is fine. So nice.
Well, a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game at Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta. How are you? I am Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley, and man, September weekends never leave much as far as a shortage of sports conversation. There's lots to talk about today. We'll get into it as, of course, we are live in the eWell studio, EWEL.ca for all your electrical needs. We're going to take lots of texts throughout the show today. You can always text us at 833-401-1440. Also say a big hello to all of you watching online at Oilers Nation YouTube. We had a very good first week. We actually surpassed our goals of what we wanted for subscribers. So let's keep it up because we have a goal, and I'm pretty sure we'll reach it. Anybody who hits the subscribe button at the Oilers Nation YouTube, we'll be giving away tickets, okay, starting in October. Just to be a subscriber. It's pretty easy. All you got to do is hit the button, and away you go. So Oilers Nation YouTube, you'll see it right there, and away we go. Some comments coming in. Happy Monday to you all. Norm in a combine. Norm said, hey, you know what? Probably pretty busy in a combine, Norm. I hope all of our farmers, every crop, whatever you're doing, you're cutting, swathing, anything at this time of year, everything's going good. That's what we want. It's rather crucial for all of the non-farmers. If you like food, it helps for sure. So big shout out as always to all of those working in the fields right now. Now, speaking of working, the Edmonton Elks, it's quite the game. First of all, absolutely beautiful conditions for a fan to sit and watch. It was. I'm not going to say it was too hot because that sounds disingenuous. It was quite warm, especially if you were sitting on the east side of the stadium. But honestly, it was like an advantage. I was talking to Rashog today because in the first quarter, he was on the Elks side. He's like, oh man, God, is it ever nice out here? And then he walks over to Calgary for the second quarter, and he's like, man, he's just sweating bullets. You're in the sun? It was hot. Did that play a factor into the comeback in the fourth quarter? I don't know. But either way, why not? You can be nice and cool in the shade. Your opposing team's just standing out there baking in the sidelines. Now, obviously, it didn't hurt them early on. Because the Elks, like how many people thought when Brown busted it for a 40-plus yard rush to start the game, touchdown on their first series, you're thinking, whew, the Elks are going to rout them here. And then, my goodness, it was some sloppy play. They had 11 passing yards midway through the third quarter. I was like, oh, my goodness. And then it was just like a switch flipped, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We're going to start playing. Trey Ford on the one series, 2 big passes, boom, touchdown. And then it just continued, and it was quite the comeback. You know, Faithful misses the convert, but then it allows him to be the hero on the last play of the game. Huge win. And honestly, I'm not sure you could have scripted it any better. If you're a Calgary fan for the Labor Day game, they have the big comeback. And then you're an Elks fan on the Labor Day rematch, and the home team gets the big comeback. That's how you have people want to come to your stadium again. It's that simple. I don't care what promotions you have. Now, I guess unless you're giving away $1 million, a lot of them are like, yeah, that's a nice bonus for fans. but they want that feeling of being a fan when you leave the stadium and your team wins. And that's what they had last. As you see on the YouTube channels, lots of little kids in the background. The con man is like our greeter. People can't necessarily see Connor in studio all the time, but Conzi, he's like the queen. He's got the wave down. He's always got the one hand waving to people looking because they're behind my back. So I can see them sometimes if I look onto the live feed. I can see it in the reflection. But Connor is always greeting him. And for the first week last week, I was like, why are you trying to get my attention? What's going on? But you were waving to everyone.
Trying to give them that Dean Faithful wave, as he was in the locker room in the celebration. I'm trying to get that their way. But yeah, a lot of people taking a peek in, looking at the lineup that we have listed out there. So always got to wave to the kids, right? Can't just leave them hanging.
Oh, no, they're pretty fired up. So, of course, we're live in the UL studio in West Edmonton Mall, right above the Lego store for Sports 1440. The Edmonton Oilers, we are inching closer to the start of training camp. Rookie camps get going this week. And then, of course, there's the rookie tournament this weekend. And then main camps, the medicals are next Wednesday. And next Thursday is the first on-ice session. They'll be on ice Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then the Oilers have their first preseason game against Winnipeg next Sunday, the 24th of September. Actually have 5 games in the first week of preseason. And then got 3 in the final week. And then the puck drops on October 11th as the Oilers. Do you know that Connor McDavid in his rookie season started on the road? Remember they had a 4-game road trip to start that year. They started in St. Louis. 16-17 starts on home ice. 18, the Oilers were in Europe in Gothenburg, Sweden, if you recall. To New Jersey, they lost. And then the last 4, they've started at home. So it's really, in North America, this is only the second time in McDavid's career during this era that the Oilers have started the season on the road. They will do that in Vancouver. We'll do a little deep dive. I looked into the Oilers' schedule throughout the season, broke it up into the 4 quarters, 20 games, 21, 20, 21. And, you look at how many back-to-back sets they have and everything else. The Oilers are kind of right in the middle when it comes to back-to-backs. Now, I didn't calculate 3 games in 4 nights, although the Oilers do have 12 of those situations where they'll play 3 games in 4 nights. Because, sometimes if you're playing one, then you have a day off, then your second half of back-to-back, they play twice. Then, of course, you would play 2 days later. So that counts as 2. But that only happens to them. They only have 12 of them, which isn't bad considering they have 10 back-to-backs. The New Jersey Devils lead the NHL. Washington leads the NHL. They'll have 16 sets of back-to-back. Seattle only has 5. Florida has 7. A few teams have 8. Lots of teams are at 10, 11, 12 area. And then you have Washington and New Jersey. They're up at 15 and 16 for back-to-backs. But the Oilers, kind of a unique schedule this year. Did you know they only have 1 road trip where it's 4 consecutive games on the road? That happens in November, and none of the games are back-to-back. They play every second day. And that's a trip where they have Carolina, Florida, Tampa, and Washington. All their other road trips are 3-gamers. Now, they do have a 6-game trip technically. It's 3 games before Christmas break, and then 3 games after Christmas break, they're all on the road. So it's technically 6 consecutive games on the road, but it's not the same road trip because obviously they'll come home. Some players will leave after game 3 and go to their Christmas home for a few days because the Oilers actually get a little bit, they have enough time that I think some players will go home for the holidays, especially those on the East Coast, because then they just come back and they're there. So that's pretty easy for them. But overall, I think the Oilers schedule, if you're somebody who looks at the schedule and different things like that, I think they have a pretty favorable schedule overall. The only area of concern is in the last 26 days of the season, the Oilers have 4 sets of back-to-back. Now, Darnell Nurse, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, 3 of the 4 players I've talked to during these captain skates have all discussed the importance of a good start. Now, a few years ago, remember the Oilers were 16-5. Now, their record was good. I don't know if they were playing as great as the record said, and then obviously they hit the skids significantly. Last year, decent start, hit the skids a bit, and then got on a roll. They would like to, I think, bank some points so they don't have to scramble. Then down the stretch, when they're playing all those back-to-back games, you know what? Jay Woodcroft can alleviate some of the minutes for his top guys. Maybe only play 18, 19 minutes, not have to play 24 or 5, depending on where they are in the standings. So We'll look at the schedule a little bit later on as well. Also on the show today, excited about the lineup the con man has had. We will have Terry Ryan. He is our Monday co-host. He'll join us at 3 o'clock. We got the Hall of Famer, Warren Moon. We're going to talk about quarterback mechanics with Warren today. Andi Petrillo will join us. She is a regular Monday contributor at 4 o'clock. We're going to talk soccer. We're going to talk track and field this week with Andi. She, of course, was just at the World Track and Field Championships with some historic results for Canada, including Arup, the young Edmontonian, first ever 800-meter gold medalist. Awesome. So we'll talk to Andi about that. We have Ryan's Rant. Spec will be by. Robbie Schremp, former first-round pick of the Edmonton Oilers, former NHLer. He is now the director of hockey operations for the Hong Kong Junior Tigers. We'll talk to Robbie about that. Bronte will be by. Also, the 2-minute warning with Cam Tait. We have to talk some fantasy football because the NFL season kicked off. And it was, now, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're pretty pumped up, especially if you had their defense or special teams because they crushed it. They pitched a shutout. The Giants didn't score a point. It's probably a good thing Struddy isn't on till tomorrow because he needs an extra sleep just to try to get rid of the stench of being a Giants fan because that was ugly, Connor Halley.
Gregor, he's going to spin it though. He's going to say, no, I want to lose these games. I want Caleb Williams. I'm done with Danny Dimes. I want them to lose all these games.
You honestly do you think he could come to him and say he's done with Danny Dimes? I wonder. I really wonder.
I just think he always tries to, when they're bad, he'll spin it. Even when they were winning games last year, he was unsure about it. He wanted a good draft pick. So I think he's going to find a way to spin this one, make us seem like we're crazy for blowing a 40-0 game out of proportion.
Ooh, man, like that wasn't really close.
No. 16-0 after the first quarter.
Well, the hilarious part is if you were somebody who didn't watch the game and you had Cowboy offensive guys in your fantasy team, you're like, oh my, how many points did Dak get me? And then you come up and you're like, what? Didn't do a whole bunch. But hey, he got more than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
What about T. Higgins? He got a donut. Got it, the tight end in Philly. Donut. Like there was Drake London didn't get a pass. He had one target. He ran 20 routes, Connor, and had one target his way. Kyle Pitts had 3. Like, I'm very curious to see what Atlanta's strategy is long-term because I don't think that's a strategy to win by any stretch of the imagination. But I think what this first week of the regular season, and I talked about it before, Cons, to me, it's ridiculous how they've gone way too far in the preseason of not playing your starters and thinking it doesn't matter. Well, trust me, it matters. You even had some coaches saying, geez, might have to rethink this. You think? Like, you can't just snap your finger and think, okay, great, our offense. Because, look, I haven't mentioned Dallas. Dallas's offense was okay, but it was their defense that scored a lot of points and created turnovers all over the field. There was very few teams that were great in sync offensively this weekend.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of teams have brought up in the past that they have these scripted practices against other NFL teams, but that's a little bit different than the situations you have thrown at you in a regular season game with 60, 70,000 people in there making noise. Like, it's just not the same. So I'm with you. I'd love to see starters get a little bit more time. I know there is always that risk of injury, but how many guys went down with injury in the preseason compared to just during training camp? I mean, these non-contact injuries pop up all the time. To say you're, to live in fear that you're going to lose some of your starters due to the couple snaps in preseason seems a little bit ridiculous. And yeah, I wonder if it starts to change. But you're right. I had Joe Burrow starting over Trevor Lawrence. I own that one. That one cost me my week 1 matchup in fantasy, but it was a little bit discouraging to see what the Cincinnati Bengals did there in week 1 against the Browns. I know the Browns defense was very cocky going into this one. They thought they'd find a way to get it done, but yeah, week 1, I'm frustrated. I went with Burrow.
What was Jamar Chase's line? I'm not happy. Did he say we lost to a bunch of hobbits?
Elves.
I
called them elves,
yeah,
and
elves.
we lost to elves.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness. Yeah. That line made me chuckle. But if you're Cleveland, you're just like, yeah, hey, chirp all you want, buddy. We just shut you down, which they did. Give them a lot of credit. Hey, guys, are there any coaches at the Oilers captain skates? I know they can't show up, but did they bring in any coaches, Jensen? Well, Adam Huxley, who used to be in the Oilers organization, he now works with a skills company, Pep. He was out there today running. It was just kind of like a skills drill today. They had all sorts of different contraptions on the ice. Some of you have probably seen it. You know where you have It's like it's got a stick on it, and then it's got another blade, and you pass underneath it. You pass around it, tight turns, different things like that. So they had that on there. Your goalie coach can be on the ice, and Dave Pelche. So that's why Dustin Schwartz has been able to be on, and Dave Pelche. None of your coaches who are like your head coach or any of your assistant coaches that are on the bench. Dustin Schwartz is not on the bench in games. He's always upstairs. So those coaches aren't allowed on the ice during this. So a few other quick texts to get in at 10, 12, 60. Hey, guys, how many tickets were free for the Elks game? I have no idea, but I don't think it's that many. I don't see the Elks giving away tons of tickets. I haven't seen that online anywhere. Have you, Connor? Have you seen free tickets here, free tickets there? I haven't seen many.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah. So I'm sure there might have been some, but not many. It's okay to just be happy about people showing up to the game and having fun and running on the field. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. Take a quick break. We'll return. We have Bronte coming up, Andi Petrillo, Terry Ryan, and more on a busy Monday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's 2 seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974. There's 2 seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high. It's far. It is gone. Walk-off home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com.
Trevor is lonely. Yeah. So Trevor threw a big party and served salad. Nobody came. Mike is also lonely.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
So Mike threw a big party and served Will Hawk beef jerky.
Go Will Hawk! Go Will Hawk! Everybody came!
Will Hawk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Will Rock is the home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
In Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
With over 380 conveniently located card lock locations, Co-op offers the largest card lock network in Western Canada. Count on us to keep you fueled 24/7, right from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, through to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and all points in between.
At Fountain Tire, save big during our Road Ready sales event until October 21st. Who wouldn't want up to 25% on select tires and a bonus of $50 off any service? A lizard, maybe? Or a ghost? Restrictions apply. Financing available. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com.
For the first time ever in Edmonton, the Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, downtown Edmonton City Center, this Friday through Sunday. Save up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Plus, you could win your purchase. Up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Edmonton City Center, this Friday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 till 4. Details on Facebook at Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, Edmonton.
Asked the girl what she wanted to be. She said, baby, can't you see? I want to be famous, a star of the screen. But you can do something in between. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. And baby, I love you. I told that girl that my prospects were good.
223. Welcome back. Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Your home for sports radio, and we're just going to keep expanding here in the next month. You're going to hear sports at more hours of the day. Just be patient, but it is coming. Obviously, right now we're 7 a.m. until 6 p.m., and we'll be expanding that in the coming weeks and months, which will be quite exciting. Let's get now to the oil report, brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. They have been the #1 dealership in Canada for Volvo sales. If you're looking for not only a great car, but unbelievable service, stop in, say hi to Jordy, Mike, and the group. VolvoEdmonton.com. Great vehicles, even better service. As we welcome back to the program from Oilers Nation, a longtime beat reporter for the NHL, CFL, covered boxing for many years. The Trappers way back in the day. Robin Brownlee, or as we like to call him, Ruben Bronte. It's probably just better. I think most people call him Bronte now more than Brownlee anyway. So it's better. Rube.
How you doing, Jason? Yeah, I'm all good. That's a nice description, a nice sounding resume. I think it kind of just means I'm getting old, huh?
Well, not kinda, but anyway. Let's start with the green and gold. We said it beforehand. Trey Ford has become someone that you want to watch. He's entertaining. There's obviously still elements of his game. He's a very young quarterback overall, and we saw the struggles in the passing game for the first 2.5 quarters. The Elks had 11 passing yards, which is mind-blowing to even say that. But in the final 20 minutes of that game, the offense found its legs and were able to storm back and repeat what Calgary did to them on Monday. And you send the crowd home, 32,000 people, super happy in how that game ended. And you know what? The Elks, it's very slim, let's be honest. I don't think playoffs are really the goal. It'd be nice, but it's more so, can this team build on something heading into next season?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for Ford, that was probably, it wasn't even close to his previous performance. And you know, I think he tripled his passing yardage in that one scoring drive, up to that point. What I like about it, Jason, is this, and I'm with you. I don't know about how the playoff picture is going to play out. We'll see. What I like is fans are having fun, and talk about me. Well, I'm looking at my social media, and I think I at one point said Elks need a new kicker. Well, after the game, we've got Dean Faithful doing the Queen's wave. Now, you know what? That doesn't change the season, but people love that. Did you see how many hits that got? And here's a guy. Yeah, people are having fun. You're going to have to get the other stuff straightened out. And we'll see what happens with playoffs. This team's got work to do. But right now, if you give people a reason to buy a ticket and come into the park because you're winning, or because it's fun, or both, if you could have things your way, that's what you want. So this looks like they've got themselves a toehold in that sense. And we'll see what happens with the standings. But that was a lot of fun that night.
Oh, it was. And, I think it's fair. Some of the criticisms on Faithful, like what distance can he go? But, hey, he made a key kick at a key time. So, obviously, let him revel in it. Good for him. Now the Elks are into Regina on Friday. They've had two very close games against the Riders this year. They lost both. And many people wondered if Trey Ford had played in those games, could they have won? Well, we'll find out. Now, the Riders have played better as of late.
Yeah.
Well, they beat Winnipeg and then they got pounded in the rematch. So, it's interesting when you look at it because Hamilton plays Winnipeg this weekend. And if Winnipeg takes care of business like we think they should, if the Elks can find a way to win, then suddenly, they're within 2 points of Hamilton. And, and then they're getting a little bit closer even to Saskatchewan. I think that's a pipe dream to try to gain up 6 points down the stretch here on the Riders when they own the tiebreaker. But you know what? Like the games at least have a semblance that they mean something down the stretch. Well,
you've lived through this just like every sports fan in town has, Jason. We talk about, the decade of darkness with the Oilers. Well, this wasn't quite that, but when you go 1,400 days or whatever it was without even winning a game at home, you got to give the people that you want to buy tickets something to hang on to. And you give them, you throw them a win, you entertain them, you show them a good time. That's a start. That's all it is right now, but it's a start. If you can win against Saskatchewan, I still don't know, but really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you're still on the right track as long as you're playing well. There's a lot of interest in Ford, totally different team with him under center and with Jarius Jackson as OC.
Well, at times I thought their play calling was, a little bit, I thought very underwhelming early in that game. But then once they decided to get aggressive, good for them. Now they're running attack for 2 straight games against Calgary. Like when you run for over 400 yards in 2 games, you can't complain about the rushing attack. The rushing attack, and I give a lot of credit to the O-line. The O-line has been exceptional in the run game the past few weeks. So if that continues into Saskatchewan, who knows? We'll see what they do. Now we move to the Oilers, and today was their last captain skate that's open. They'll have a few more, but you have rookie camps and everything coming in, thankfully. And then Oilers will get on the ice to have their medicals and everything like that. The big question to me, and I watched it again closely today. They were in 2 separate groups, but Broberg and Desharnais, very different styles. Do you see one at all having the advantage, or do you think it's clean slate when camp opens for those 2 defensemen?
Oof. You know what? I wish I could. I couldn't even read minds like that when I was on the beat and in the room every day. But I'll tell you this. They're different players completely at different points in their career, even though Desharnais is still just getting his feet wet at the NHL level. He's, I think, just turned 27, if I'm not mistaken. Desharnais is a great story, but aside from that, he seems to understand what he needs to do to be a professional hockey player. He was on a podcast last week. I mentioned it at Oilers Nation today. He really understands what he has to do to be a hockey player. He battled depression. He battled anxiety. He struggled with a concussion. That'll throw a wrench into your plans when you're not an established player. He knows how to play. He brings a big, tough, willing body. And here's the other thing that I like about Desharnais, Jason, and some people I don't know that they know this if they don't watch him closely. He moves very well for a big man.
Yes.
And that's the thing. He is just not, if he gets a hold of you in a scrum or in the corner, you're in trouble. He can come and get you if he needs to. And he can play a gap and get there when he has to. I like him. I don't know nearly as much about Broberg except what I've seen. I hate to have a kid sitting around withering on the vine, but he'd have to show me something before I would use him ahead of Desharnais at this point. Now, that's with the caveat, let's see what happens at camp. Let's see what happens in preseason. But I don't think you can force the kid in there just because he's a kid.
The thing that Desharnais has on Broberg's a better overall skater. Desharnais is much stronger. And I know that Broberg worked on gaining weight's one thing, but just getting stronger. And I've noticed at these skates, at the end of these captain skates a few times, I stayed late just to watch. And Matthias Ekholm a few days was working with Broberg on little things. And a lot of it was positioning, right? When you enter into the corner where he wanted, and you're talking a difference of 2, 3, 4 inches sometimes, and just different angles to take. And they worked a lot about when guys were coming out of the corner, because I think if you go back and if there was an area at times where Broberg struggled last year, it was, so you got a big forward down low, right? And sometimes, body position's great, but then you have to combine body position with strength. And Ekholm and him were working on that. And I think that's something that's going to work on all year long. It's no different when Duncan Keith was here and Evan Bouchard talked about, like, just those little tips, man, can go such a long way. And that's what having veteran defensemen, helps guys. Nurse has done it with Bouchard. Ekholm's doing it with his fellow countrymen in Broberg. And I think that's a huge advantage for him. Ekholm and Nurse were doing it last year with Vincent Desharnais. And obviously I assume it's not like Vinny has a ton of experience under his belt by any stretch, but the one advantage he does have, I think, on Broberg is the strength, and he's got a nasty side to him. And to me, I'm a big believer in having different elements on your team. Yeah. And so that's an element that Desharnais has that not a lot of other defenders have. Now, that's not the only reason I play him, right? Like if all the other areas, Broberg's beating him in passing and skating and puck decisions and, positioning, well, then it's a no-brainer, right? But if all things are equal, then you look at certain intangibles, and that's one advantage that Desharnais has.
Ekholm, and anybody who's paying attention has seen this. Ekholm is such a difference maker because he does the little things like you're talking about in these discussions. Hey, it's being strong matters, being physical matters, but so does angle, leverage, how you play that guy in the corner. There's a lot of players who aren't nearly as big as Ekholm or Desharnais who play a solid physical game their whole careers in the NHL because they know how to lean on guys. They know what to do when they get there. It's not always about the big bang and the crushing body check. You go in and you handle a guy because you take them a certain way and you can be really effective. That'll help Desharnais. That'll help Broberg when he learns that. You don't have to be a crusher. You just have to be smart. Now, not the same player, so nobody get me wrong. Did Nick Lidstrom ever crush anybody? No. Be smart, be there at the right time and in the right place, and you're good to go.
Ruben Bronte joins us on Sports 1440. I'm Jason Gregor. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It was a sloppy weekend at times for sure in the NFL. But there's an interesting story tonight, Robin. Of course, it's September 11th. 22 years ago today was, of course, the destruction in New York with the two towers. And Robert Saleh, who, of course, is the head coach of the Jets, his brother was working in the South Tower at that time. Thankfully for their family, he survived. But it made Robert rethink things. He quit his 9-to-5 job and went into coaching. And now 22 years later, he will be coaching on Monday Night Football as a head coach of the Jets. It's kind of a unique storyline to watch for tonight. And what should be an entertaining game, of course, with Aaron Rodgers making his Jets debut.
Well, you know what? That's really a wonderful story about how, lives turned that day. And unfortunately, as we all know, for the worse in the vast majority of cases. That was, 22 years ago is a long time, but if you're a certain age, you remember it. And to have him take it and take a message from it and have him change direction like that, you need some breaks, you need some hard work, and you need, that takes a long time, but it is a wonderful story. And you know what? I don't want to go on about it because it has been 22 years, Jason, but I think about it. And it was funny. I thought about it yesterday more than I would have, because I have not been near Millennium Place in probably a decade. I was getting ready to go to training camp in 2001 when we started seeing these images on TV. And that changed everything. I hadn't been there, like I say, in near a decade. Yesterday, I went for a family outing with my wife and Sam, and I drove right past it and I looked at it. And I don't need that to think of Ace Bailey with the Oilers. But when you've talked with somebody in the dressing room, we weren't friends, we were acquaintances. I was a reporter, he was a scout. But when you've had conversations with somebody and then you find out that he, along with Mark Bavis, they were both with LA at the time, are gone. They were on one of those planes. You don't forget that day easily. So, 22 years, but good for Coach for, becoming a coach based on what happened that day.
Rubes, have yourself a good one. We'll talk to you later on in the week. Of course, Oilers rookie camp gets going. They'll be in Penticton playing games starting on Friday, and then main camp begins with medicals next Wednesday and on the ice on Thursday. And that's when we can start to see the Desharnais-Broberg. I think it's a really good battle. That's one of the main battles at camp. We'll talk about the fourth line center on Thursday. Have a good one. There you go. That's Robin Brownlee, Robin Bronte, Robin Brownlee, combining the names. Oil Report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. Lots of text lines humming early. I love it. You can text us at 833-401-1440. You can always send us an email in our Jiffy Lube inbox, Gregor at sports1440.ca or Connor at sports1440.ca. We have the 2-minute warning when we return and more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted
Bruce,
with
how you doing?
signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20
At Camp
and
Line
score
Center on
20%
Thursday.
off
Have
any
a good one.
regular menu price.
Continue on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Hope you are having yourself a wonderful day. Of course, the Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can experience all the excitement of the casino right on your desktop or mobile device. PlayAlberta.ca. Sign up as a new player. You check in and you'll get to use the promo code SPORTS20. Get a free $20 wager right now at PlayAlberta.ca. We're going to get to 2-minute warning with Cam Tait momentarily. We got a few quick texts to get to. Hey, guys, I'll bet the Young Guns game in Penticton. Have the Oilers released their roster for the weekend? I know some teams have. Jay. You know what, Jay? I looked for it, and no, it has not officially come on. I expect it to be very soon. And I could probably give you a pretty good guess. Obviously, any of the recent draft picks of the team are going to be there. I'm not usually, if you've played 2 years of pro, they don't have you go. So I still think Xavier Bourgault would be going. He's only played 1 year, so I would guess, just based on previous times they've done it, that I could see that happening. So, and then you look at some of the other obvious ones for the Edmonton Oilers. Any guys who aren't NCAA, like Bo Akey would be there. I would think Nathaniel Day would be there. Then you know what? Gets a little slim. Jake Chason, Matvey Petrov. I would think Max Wayner from the Moose Jaw Warriors, another one. Then you're going to have lots of guys who just who aren't signed, who are free agents to fill out the roster for the Edmonton Oilers. They're not going to have they don't have right now lots of their like Dylan Holloway's here, Philip Broberg's here, like their best prospects, Raphael Lavoie. They're all in main camp and. I wouldn't expect Raphael Lavoie to go to that. I guess there's a chance, but I'd be surprised considering, he just finished his entry-level contract. So I'm going to guess he's not going. I didn't even bother asking. I guess I should have asked, but, he's here at this camp, so I don't think so. Now, Savoy's another guy. He'll be there, I would expect. A few other guys who played 1 year in the minors. Just gives them an opportunity they want to make an impression, get noticed. That's the key. Now, let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tait. For those who don't know, Cam Tait joins us every Monday and Friday. And Cam's been a long-time reporter in Edmonton. He has a cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. And at times it can be difficult for people to understand everything he's saying. So he does this with the voice box. But he also does have a live appearance today in his 2-minute.
This is the one, the only Brian from Imaphone Vox Box. Great to be on Sports 1440 with Jason Gregor. What a beauty. Today's 2-minute warning with Cam Tait. The Big Gamble. Listen one time. The Big Gamble. Here we are. 3rd episode, extravaganza. Could be the last. Come on now. Could be the last. See, when we started this, Jason Gregor, the man himself, said he wanted me to be funny when doing this. So I have a clip coming up after the Edmonton Elks game. I asked the GM and coach guy, Chris Jones, a question. Oh yeah, now after my new buddy Connor Halley plays the segment, Gregor might text and say, Tater, you're gone. Goodbye. Say goodbye to your Stingray studio and your executive parking stall. But I don't drive. That's why this is a big gamble, like 3rd down and 95 yards to go. So if Mr. Gregor doesn't like this, I'm gone. If he does, we'll chat Friday. So here we go. My question to Chris Jones after the game. Here we go.
Unfortunately tonight we lost 4 guys. And so, you don't want to attribute that to a short week, but again, we've been on the good end of those injuries for the last little bit since we've had full weeks. But then on this short week here, we end up losing 4 ball players tonight. I could make myself available. Well, I tell you what, hang on after we get done. We'll make a deal. Right?
I'm the only Brian for the 2-minute warning with Tait on Sports 1440.
There's Tater's sense of humor. Pretty witty dude at times. Even though Con's, it's his first Monday, the new station. So he was apologizing, Tater, that he interrupted your 2-minute warning with like a live tag there. I think you hit the wrong button, didn't you, Cons?
The mouse is a little closer than it should be. And I thought I hit the right side, but I know I clicked it. So it's my bad, Cam. I owe you one.
There you go. So what's funny about that comment is I'll make myself available is obviously Cam's in a wheelchair, got cerebral palsy. He's very good at self-deprecation. He's got a good sense of humor. So will it be something? You see now the 4 players that went down for the Elks, it's unfortunate. They got a lot of guys on the practice roster. So I think they'll be all right. When Trey Ford got absolutely rocked early in that game, I know there was lots of concern in the crowd, but thankfully, and unfortunately, that's life as a quarterback. You're going to get popped at some point. The good news was he got popped when he was in the pocket, not, running outside the pocket. Because I'll say one thing about Trey Ford. He's very good at sliding. Some people are like, well, don't slide. I'm like, what are you talking about? I never want my quarterback to risk getting an extra yard or 2 at the 40-yard line in the first quarter of a game. Now, if you're talking in the fourth quarter, there's 5 minutes to go and we're in a playoff game and you're closing in on the first, like the line of scrimmage to get 10 yards, well, okay, maybe I'll consider it. But I never, ever am going to rip Trey Ford because he's sliding early and giving up 1 extra yard. It's genius to do. I'd applaud him to do that more rather than less. So I didn't understand that. There's a few people in our section that were complaining about, well, Ford could have got 2 more yards. I'm like, and I don't say anything, but in my head, I'm just like, are you serious right now? You're worried about 2 yards at midfield? That's not making or breaking anything. The only thing that might get broken is him. So I wouldn't be looking at all that.
And did they watch the team without him? Do you want to go back to that and risk the injury? No. Take the slide. Get out of bounds. Business decision, man.
100%. Lots of text coming in. 833-401-1440. Gregor, the Oilers are in a heap of problems if Desharnais is in any battle with Broberg. Broberg should be a no-brainer, and if not, the Oilers should rethink why Broberg is. Desharnais is okay being the 7th and gets in a few games, but it might be a bit testy. Otherwise, I'm full Broberg for this Oilers team. Why? Why is Vincent Desharnais a problem? That's what I'd like to know. Like, expand on that opinion. I'm curious. What is it about Vincent Desharnais that was such a problem? Did he struggle in game 1 against Vegas? Yep. What about game 2? What about game 3? What about game 4, 5, or 6? Vincent Desharnais was the only Oiler who played all 5 of those games who wasn't on the ice for a goal against 5-on-5. He wasn't a problem. He wasn't the issue. He wasn't the only reason they lost. He had a bad game 1. Guess what? So did other guys. But some other guys had some other bad games. Vincent Desharnais, I think too often people remember the one game and it's like, well, that's all I'm judging him on. It doesn't matter that in game he rebounded and played quite well in games 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And it wasn't just goals against. You can go look at his shot for. It was 63%. So when he was on the ice at 5-on-5, the Oilers outshot Vegas by 63 to 37%. Pretty good. His expected goals, if you believe in that stat, 55% in games 2 to 6. So I wouldn't be so quick to just want to pile on Vincent Desharnais because he maybe doesn't, he doesn't have all the excitement and panache and razzle dazzle of a first round overall pick. Doesn't matter to me. Where guys get drafted 3-4 years ago, I believe, just me, my own personal thought, it's irrelevant. Where you get drafted on draft day is nice. It helps you in your initial contract. It helps you with what potential bonus structure you can get. But 3 years later, after you're drafted, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You're a first rounder who's not performing, and there's a fourth rounder who's outperforming you. Guess what? Fourth rounder's playing. It's just that simple. So I know that you might get more opportunities as a first rounder. That I can agree with. But I definitely do not worry and say, well, I'm only going to play this guy because he's a former first rounder. Why? Why would you do that? It doesn't, I don't get it. Hey, guys, another big difference between Broberg and Desharnais, and perhaps the most important, in my opinion, is that Broberg would be expected to play his offside. Based on that alone, Desharnais has a big advantage. Broberg should be given the same opportunity. Dunner in North Van. Well, he is, but here's the thing. Ekholm, Nurse, and Kulak are your 3 left defensemen. Do you think Broberg's going to beat one of them out? Like, he's not beating out Nurse and Ekholm. And for the last 2 playoff years, maybe the most consistent defender on the Oilers was Brett Kulak. So now, hey, and that's a good problem to have. The fact that Philip Broberg isn't gifted minutes, Oiler fans should be doing cartwheels, not complaining. Because for a decade, you watched young, and actually longer than a decade, you watched young players just be given opportunities in hope that they could handle it. Like, look at Oscar Klefbom and Darnell Nurse. Look the positions they got thrust into as rookies. Or even they weren't ready for it, but they had no other choice. And the Oilers got spanked. And, good for them. They learn and they improve, but it wasn't ideal. Remember, Darnell Nurse got paired that rookie year. He played most of it with Andre Sekera, who was never good at playing his offside, but they had no right defenseman, so they put him over there. And people are like, Nurse is never going to be good. He's terrible. I'm like, yeah, he's playing with the left shot guy on the right side who doesn't play over there. And the team's terrible. Most guys have bad numbers on bad teams. It's just how it goes. It's like anybody who goes to Carolina, it almost doesn't matter what your name is. You're going to have good analytics. Now, does that mean suddenly you're a very good, reliable player? Or is there the way they play, lots of guys slot in there and it works? Awesome. They got a good system. It works. They're a high volume shot team. So, that leads to some other numbers that benefit players analytically. But I've seen guys who struggle. They go there, and then guys who go to Carolina and they leave and go to somewhere else. And, geez, all of a sudden the numbers aren't there. I'm like, well, yeah, you got to take certain things into consideration. But I'm not yet on, downplaying Broberg or Desharnais. I'm excited to see how both fare this year. Because here's the one thing the biggest shock I would have this year, and I know Oilers fans aren't going to like this, is that the top 5 defensemen basically played the same minutes that they played last year. Because the top 5 defensemen missed a total of 2 games. Health was unbelievable. That's normally not the case. Might miss 10 games, 8 games, whatever it is. So I think there'll be games where both Desharnais and Broberg will play when they're 6 defensemen this year. I just think I hope I'm wrong because that means there's injuries, but odds and history will tell us that's likely going to be the case. Let's get to Connor Halley in a Sports 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, your structural engineering specialist. Whether you're in the process of a rental or building your dream home, BIE can help you out. Go to BIEENG.com.
Sipping gin and juice, just trying to stay cool. And I'm sweating buckets bigger than a swimming pool. Cruise to Heritage Mall to enjoy some AC. Then my shorty hears the homies from Legacy. I say, listen, yo, where we gonna get the dough to pay Legacy from the radio? She says, Legacy Heating's got a deal that's the bomb with no interest or payments flipping all year long. No money, no problems, that's the life that I choose. Chillaxing with thousands of BTU. Doing whatever the heck that was. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle, We believe in noodles.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Are you ready to light up your game like Edmonton lights up the ice? Then choose eWell. Electrical Wholesalers Edmonton Limited offers lightning fast service. Just like your favorite forward, they deliver your electrical supplies in record time. Plus winning quality. They only stock the best. And don't forget about their all-star support. When it comes to customer service, they're the playmakers. So don't sit in the dark. Make the power play and visit eWell today. Online at ewel.ca, where excellence in electrical meets the heart of hockey.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20. There's nothing like having a little skin in the game to make things interesting. But when a little skin becomes more than you can afford to lose, it's time to take a break from sports betting. Set a budget and stick to it. If you gamble, use your game sense.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Stock up and save big when you buy more of select products. Only at Buy Low Foods.
There's no rush to switch to a better electricity rate from Encore by Epcor, unless, you like to save money. And time is money, so why wait? If you're already an Epcor customer, switch to power from Encore by Epcor today and start saving straight away. Same electricity, lower rate. You could save hundreds of dollars this year like thousands of our customers who already made the switch. Learn how at switchtoencore.com.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call 310-4822 toll-free.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Welcome back. The Jason Gregor Show, the first ever Monday edition of the Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Thanks so much for joining us, making us part of your day. We love being here. Like having all the sports fans listening at Sports 1440, watching or listening online at the Oilers Nation YouTube. You can go there, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, because if you're a subscriber, we'll be giving away tickets in October as a thank you for all those who subscribe to the show, which will be should be very easy. All you do is got to hit a button. All you got to do is hit a button. So see how that goes. Now we welcome in. He will be our Monday and Thursday co-host. Very excited to have it. Of course, former NHLer. He's also now a world champion in ball hockey. And, of course, TV star in Shoresy, Terry Ryan. TR, welcome back to the show. How was your weekend, my man?
Thanks very much. It was good. One of those very players I won the ball hockey worlds with last week, Chris Sparks. He's getting married next weekend, so this particular weekend was stag time. So,
oh geez, is that why your hat's still on backwards right now?
It's one of the reasons. Yeah, it's why a lot of things are happening today. It's a 2-day hangover, as you would expect, but I'm back and I'm happy.
Oh yeah, that's good. So do you? Yeah, I see you're drinking water. So do you? Now you're into your mid 40s, TR. Are your hangovers longer? Are they, have you wised up on how to avoid them? What's your thoughts on hangovers?
No, they get worse. Generally, what happens here, once a weekend, I go out and tie one on with the boys. Usually it's Friday after hockey. If not, it's something on Saturday. It's a nice little area we got downtown. I don't know if you heard of it, George Street.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. There you go. It's a party atmosphere. It's a fun atmosphere. It's not just party. I mean, that's the rep, but it's patios. It's a very European downtown we have, being hundreds of years old, obviously, the oldest city in North America, arguably, but, we're talking about days. So it's always an interest. I love hanging out down there. Lots of live music, always is, and things to do. So on an event like a stag party or something, it's usually the obvious option. And we finished it out with a Beatles cover band that night, and I don't remember getting home. It was a success.
Now, I know you love the live music. Are you a singer? Like, do you karaoke? Do you do live singing? Maybe even non-karaoke? Are you a singer?
I generally sing with the band. Like here, I've gone down forever. Even when I was playing, it's a destination, especially on road trips and everything. Teams come in, you hang out on George Street. The bar I hang out at the most, Greensleeves. The gentleman's my buddies who owns it. His name is Stephen Hancock. His dad started it in the '80s, and I've just been a part of the furniture there, man. My dad used to hang out there, so it's a live music spot, as are most places. So I know a lot of the bands around and the live entertainers. So I get up and sing the odd tune. Easy layups like Johnny Be Good, the Apartment song, Rave On. Songs that you don't have to go. Sounds like you know what you're doing, but you don't really have to have a range for that. You just got to know the words.
Okay, so now something tells me you don't mind the performance aspect of it. So, like, do you get into it a little bit as the lead singer at times?
Well, I definitely do. That's part of it when I'm down there. And it's usually, I would never go down on my own and say, hey, let me up on stage. It's usually I'm there with a group like this weekend, or, hey, Davey White, can you give me 3 Terry? Okay. And then I'll go up. They know exactly what we did. The Grundy County auction. There's one that gets everybody going.
Okay.
Little country tune, John Michael Montgomery. Anyway, any list of and again, after going almost every weekend for all this time, and really knowing a lot of the people. I ran a bar down there for a while. I was also a rep for Mill Street Brewery. I was a Red Bull rep for a while. So it seems that all my journeys locally take me to George Street. And, I got a good rapport with the bar owners and stuff. Rarely karaoke, to be honest, but I'll get down there and get up and sing live with a band once every 3 times I go down.
Now, do they ever have like poetry night where you're out there reading poems?
There's things like that. I've gone down on those kind of nights. Those aren't obviously as well attended, and they're more eclectic. There's little places to go in town, like maybe a coffee shop. But I've gone down and read chapters of my books more than once. There's a Writers Alliance here, and I just signed up for it. Why not? And I met people that are, that are literally poets that I probably wouldn't come across, but I am an author. It's part of what I do. So I went to the University here, Memorial, from where I graduated 10 years ago now. And just, I found out about the Writers Alliance, so I put my name in there. And it's nice sometimes to do that with a completely different group. I go down there, it's not necessarily hockey players. These are people that are some tourists. Some people are down for a coffee. Some people want to go to maybe a play that night at the LSPU Hall, and they're stopping by for a coffee somewhere, and I'm reading a part of my book. I don't know. I like to, it's, I won't say challenging, but it's not always easiest to go down and read something like that, your art, if you want to say. I mean, those are stories that I wrote, but those people are looking for something different, or an entertaining afternoon, and I figure, why not? That does happen here and there.
Well, maybe we'll have to come up with some sort of sports 1440 poem, and we'll co-write it and have you present it sometime. And that would.
Hey, I'm not opposed to that. Any type of writing. To be honest with you, I told you before. A lot of the writing and everything happens to, I don't know if you want to call it anxiety. Anxiety gets such a bad rep nowadays. Sometimes I deal with that. Like I figure, early on, my mom and dad used to make is a strong word, but strongly suggest growing up that I read or write for a half hour. And when I would do that, I found it even then to be therapeutic. I didn't know what was happening, but it calmed me down a little bit. If you haven't noticed, I'm very high strung. And so all that stuff happens as a way to harness the anxiety in the right way. That might be a positive, So
makes sense.
that whole, my way of dealing with things isn't always to go to the doc, even though a lot of people need that. I'm not underestimating anxiety. The type of that I get is thankfully it's workable with writing and spending time doing creative stuff.
Yeah, sometimes just calming down and take your mind off of other things. You're not in your own head and thinking about the same thing. So I totally understand that. Which leads me to my first question. Here we are. Rookie camps are starting right away. Now, when you became a rookie, I'm not even sure they had the rookie tournaments back then. I don't think they did.
They did.
They did?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So
it was fights. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that's so now people see Terry Ryan, they're like 50-goal scorer in junior and 8th overall draft pick, but you were never shy from dropping the flippers and going at it. And I know at times you probably look back and said, you know what, I probably shouldn't have fought as much. That maybe that was a little bit of a detriment to me at times. But so you go take us back then. Like, was Terry Ryan your first rookie camp? Were you out there in all the Donnybrooks as well?
Oh yeah, lots. Well, it's weird. Like it was always kind of an extra attribute that was a little bit of a bonus. Like in my draft year, I think I had 20-something fights. When I was 16, I remember enjoying it when I was 16, and even in the American League, because I guess, a scorer first, I would think, most of the places I played, and but a middleweight, I could handle myself. So I always found if I'm 16, my first fights, I don't even know, but if you look, it's probably like I know it's Brendan Witt. It's Cale Hulse was my first fight as a 15-year-old. Mizey, like guys like that, because I knew it's why Ty Domi, my first NHL fight. In my mind, I can't lose this unless the guy knocks me out, right? Sorry, go ahead.
Your first NHL fight was Ty Domi?
My first, actually, this is true. My first fight was Steve Leach at home against Boston.
Okay.
And the next night, Jacques Demers asked me if I wanted to play before I went back to junior and played Spoke. Do I want to play Toronto? And I'd promised my buddies and a girl here that I was really hot on. I promised them at a party that I was going to fight Ty Domi if I played him. I just really never thought as an 18-year-old I would get the opportunity. And I had an okay camp. But again, I knew fighting was a tactic to me too. I can't make myself score, but I can go out there and go hard. And if they don't think an 18-year-old fight Donald Brashear, well, I'll show them, And I was always, and I think that's the Newfoundland, like I said, that we would always, that would be most Newfoundlanders I know, our default button is hard work and show some balls, and go out and do that. And, you get everybody's respect, and then you can breathe, and then you might score a few goals. But that was also part of it. You talk dealing with anxiety within the game. There's a lot of games going on. And I used to think to myself, am I going to sit here and take it from Witt all year? Or am I going to go back at him and I get a little tiny bit of respect, and then I get more room in front of the net to deflect that puck in? And I'm confident. I just, that happens to you. In my division were Shane Doan and Jerome McGinley. They were the best man at it. They would challenge. Jason Perolin was another guy. I just remember the people I played against, and that was pretty universal. If you went to the net hard against a guy like Struddy wasn't dirty, at least not to me, but he played real hard. And if I showed any signs of weakness, guys like that clear you out in the front of the net, and I needed to be there to score. So there was always a combination of those things, and I got a little bit of that get away, there's a little snap factor. So I don't think, and I know there's a long way around your question, I'll sum it up, but my first year of the American League, for example, Jay, I had 34 fights. It was probably a little bit too much. Yeah, right. But I wasn't thinking too much or too little at that time. I was going out and playing. No one told me not to. I'm not blaming anybody for that. I was pretty good at it, right? Maybe now I think coaches would probably separate roles and things. It would be a lot more communicative, but whatever. I did it, and that was part of my gig, and I'm still here today, and I'm all right.
How did the tilt with Domi go?
It actually went all right. So the first one, I fought him 3 times, if you can believe this. Right. Never wanting, really, I knew he was biting off more than I could chew, okay? I did it for his story. I promised the boys. You're in high school. On the way to that game, I remember the night before against Leach, riding my bike down there. I had a bike up in Montreal. I bought one at camp for like $100. And I remember I hadn't signed yet. I got caught before the game one of the scouts, I was scalping my tickets, and he's like, "What are you doing? Like you're on the Heb, you're playing your first game?" And I said, "Well, I need a few $100. Like I don't know what to tell you." So anyway, it's true. I went in, I asked Lyle Odeline and Mike Keane. I go, "Guys, like who fights on the other team?" I'm not normally that guy. I jump in, as Chris Nyland would say, we're defenders kind of thing, right? I consider myself a defender. I'm not going to go out there and start one or like plan one. But in this case, I need to do it, guys. Like I need to go out there. It's Montreal Forum. It's shutting down soon. I'm going to get a chance to play. And so sure enough, I hit Leach like just lightly as he was skating by the bench, and he turned around. He knew exactly what was up. And we had a great fight. It was back and forth. He was 32 going for a contract. I'm 18, first game. And then a puck came out of the corner and hit me and bounced in the net. I got a snipe. I couldn't believe it. I was playing with Turgeon and Recchi. So Demers came right down and said, "Do you want to play tomorrow night?" And I knew what was up, man. And we went there the next day. And I'd never warmed up I'd never warmed up with the opposition because in the Western League we weren't allowed to. It was too many brawls before the game. So in my Western League experience, I'd never had that happen. So I stayed I warmed up on the red line. I said, "Hey, Mr. Domi, you want to fight tonight?" He said, "Who wants to fight, Stevenson, Domi, or Thornton?" I said, "No, I want to." And he said, "I'm not fighting an 18-year-old. I said, "How do you know I'm 18? He said, "I'm Ty Domi. I do my homework. That's part of the gig." And anyway, but he did. I went out there. This is on YouTube late in the first. And I kind of like shoved Schneider. I wasn't that guy to go after Schneider, but I knew he was behind me. Put me down with the first punch, but he let me back up again. And we went pretty good. I remember I'd never really thrown lefts. And I remember like learning to throw a left with the toughest lefty around on the logo. It's at Leaf Gardens. It was wild. But, in the penalty box, he had a great chat. And he actually asked me to meet him after the game. And when we got to the place, he'd already left. But my buddies had flown up from O'Donnell High School, just graduated, and he had everything kind of in the corner and paid for us. I won't say where or what, but, he had some bottles there for us, and he took care of us.
Oh, I've always heard Ty was a great guy, but good for you, man. That's quite the story. You're a young 18-year-old kid, and you have a tilt and a goal in your first preseason game. Then you're going against Ty Domi. Like, hey, Montreal and Toronto, man, that's obviously one of the legendary rivalries in all of the NHL. So, and Ty Domi, man, like the thing about Ty Domi was, like, it was hard to beat Ty Domi because it was like his head was a cinder block. Like I seen him, like Bob Probert must have landed 12 straight punches, and then Domi just takes it and boom, boom, he's right back in it. And man, he wasn't that big, but oh my goodness, he fought everybody.
Yeah, I hurt my hand on his head. Like I actually still have a scar. It was wild. It was a lot to take in. And the funny thing is, though, like I said, I didn't think about it. And the next year, same situation, he spun me around at center and said, "You owe me one." And I did. I couldn't say no. That one I was not ready. I wasn't thinking about or whatever. But welcome to pro hockey. That's the way it goes. You're going to drop your gloves, and once in a while, people are going to know that, and you're going to get a reputation, and you're going to have to fight. Hence 34, my first year.
Terry Ryan joins us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. We will take a quick break. When we come back, a legend, a Hall of Famer. Now, I don't know if he's ever in fights in football, but this guy, one of the best arms ever as a QB. We're going to talk some quarterbacking mechanics next with Warren Moon on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Come into Jiffy Lube for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change and receive a $20 digital gift card to one of over 30 merchants, such as Cineplex or Bass Pro Shops. For a location near you, visit jiffylubeservice.ca. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
A full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Andy Akel at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
How do we do it? Well, at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we invest. Our money and time goes right back into technology and training, and it's all designed to get you back into shape. We invest in people, the people who really care, and they understand how your body works. Then they combine their experience, training, and skills to work with you to help you solve your issues, be it pain in the back, neck, arm, shoulder, heel, literally head to toe. Leading Edge Physiotherapy, always taking new patients because we keep fixing the old ones. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high, it's far, it is gone! Walk-off home run!
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com.
No project too difficult. No problem too complex for Action Electrical. Edmonton's leading electrical contractor is a family-run business since 1973 and proud to offer complete commercial electrical services of the highest quality. When you need a contractor to design, build, implement, and maintain complex systems or emergency electrical assistance, help is here with the professionals. Book a service call at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
For the first time ever in Edmonton, the Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, downtown Edmonton City Center, this Friday through Sunday. Save up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Plus, you could win your purchase. Up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Edmonton City Center, this Friday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 till 4. Details on Facebook at Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, Edmonton.
There's no rush to switch to a better electricity rate from Encore by Epcor, unless, you like to save money, and time is money, so why wait? If you're already an Epcor customer, switch to power from Encore by Epcor today and start saving straight away. Same electricity, lower rate. You could save hundreds of dollars this year like thousands of our customers who already made the switch. Learn how at switchtoencore.com.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call 310-4822 toll-free.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Of night with the moon shining bright, there's a set going strong, a lot of things going on. The man of the hour has an air of great power. The dudes have envied him for so long.
Rolling through a busy Monday afternoon, man. So much going on in the sports world right now. It is fantastic. I love it. If you are a sports fan, there is no shortage of sports stories. NFL, CFL, NHL coming up soon. It is outstanding. Jason Gregor alongside Terry Ryan. We're going to get to our NFL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on either an AC or your furnace right now at Legacy Heating and Cooling. Warren Moon, one of the all-time great quarterbacks, is going to be joining us momentarily. We're just trying to track him down, which will be awesome. TR, true story. Many moons ago, they had a Grey Cup in Edmonton, and part of it was they played an indoor kind of flag football game at the rink at West Edmonton Mall. Obviously, you've been there. And so I got to play on Warren Moon's team. And so Warren Moon's our quarterback. And so true story. So you're playing, there's some media guys and then some former CFLers on there. And Warren gets in the huddle. And I know this was just like a fun game. Like 5 seconds into it, I'm like, okay, this guy's serious. Like, so he was telling guys, you run this route, you run that route. And there was a camera guy, or not even camera guy, Graham Neal, who's kind of a funny guy. He comes out and he runs a route, but he kind of doesn't do it. And he's laughing about it. He comes back to the huddle and makes a joke. And Warren Moon looks at him and goes, funny guy, you're not getting a ball the rest of the game. And he didn't throw him a ball.
And he didn't get it?
No, he didn't throw another ball. Like, he was just like, hey, you want to make a mockery? I'm not mocking it. And so later on, and so one time I was wide open and he didn't see me, but I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I come back to the huddle and Warren Moon's like, hey, I missed you. You've been beating guys. Next one's to you. So I run, he goes 5-yard curl pattern. I line up on the outside and I've never been that nervous. A 5 yards tight curl. And before I turn around, the ball's there. And I caught it. And I'm just like, inside, it was like I might have won the Super Bowl championship, the Grey Cup at that point. But you have to be cool about it. So it's like, no big deal. But Warren Moon, like, he threw that thing 5 yards, like, and like, man, it almost winded me. Like, he had an absolute cannon. But it was so funny just how competitive he was. Like, some guys are just wired that way. Like, some guys, and it doesn't mean you're a bad guy if you're wired that way, but I'm sure you played with some guys that they could never like have a fun game, right? Like, everything is in it to win it.
I have, and I'm curious. That's a great story because, again, I've never been on the field with a pro football player. All the other above, I've been there. I've hit off someone or I've tried. I've been at bat against people who pitch AAA or whatever, like kind of simulating. They played pro, but never. So that was quick. It was right. I was curious. I'd like to do that. Like, for some reason, again, I'm just getting into football. I'm fascinated by it all, more the storylines, and I like the week to week, how the games are way more important because there's less of them. I think it's magic how they market it all. But to be out there, like, I'd like to go to a fantasy camp. That's kind of, Warren Moon's throwing to you, you're kind of in that situation, right?
100% you are. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
And I won't mention names now, but I do play those alumni games, and I had to start playing them much earlier than I thought, being that I was out by the time I was 23, really. But I could always still skate. I just had a high ankle sprain that prevented me from playing pro, like I said. But yeah, some of them, and we go, again, I won't mention names, but we go to some places, and, I guess the goal would be, one of the groups I go with, Wendell Clark and friends, for example, right? So it's Wendell Clark, Ally Afraidy, Rick Vive, a lot of older legends. It's often why guys like me we got to carry the mail a little bit for, like, Rick Vive can score better than I can, but he's 60 odd years old now. So it's a nice mix. I get to meet Rick Vive. I can go out. I can play twice the time he can. Colton Orr has come to these things. Oh God, Dale Howard-Chuck, when he was living, he was at all of them. Andrew Shaw, my guest yesterday on Tales with Tierra. I met him at one of these a few months ago. So we go, but once in a while, the host team, they missed the memo on, we're here because people want to see Wendell Clark with the puck. We're not going to play physical. We're going to play, but there's an open understanding here that you guys aren't going to be going hard, dumping and chasing, taking slap shots neck high against people with no helmets on, right? But sometimes, every like fourth team don't get that memo, and sometimes it gets heated. Well, I'll say it. I saw Ally Afraidy, open ice, Scott Stevens, a guy. This is recently. This is within a couple of years. Just pile drove him at center ice coming through. Anyway, it happens once in a while. And, I guess know your role out there. If we're coming to town, you're probably paying to see Afraidy and Clark as opposed to, some local that wants to do a button hook and go upstairs,
Well, hey, Ally Afraidy, one of the greatest skullets in NHL history. There's no question about it. And man, that guy could shoot the puck.
Dude.
Oh, absolutely.
He can still shoot it like that. He's such a great guy too. Like, we go to these things. I talk him and Wendell. Ron Duguay is another one. We go to these things and but people pay because they want to see you, right? So it's understandable if you just have a beer or a Diet Coke, whatever you're having afterwards, coffee, whatever your poison, and leaving. But people much prefer if you stay for a little bit. And I've seen 9 out of 10 times, man, those guys stay and pretty much shut it down. They're appreciative of all the fans. And it's, remember we were talking leadership last week? It's still great to see that. I'm still learning. There's life lessons, not just hockey lessons, right? When you see Wendell Clark, who's accomplished everything that he's accomplished, and doesn't need the money or the fame and go into these little towns like Lewisport and really make people happy till 2 and 3 in the morning, it really means something.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If you're going to show up, then show up, right? I think that's totally fair. For somebody who shows up and then it's kind of like a fun sponge, it's I'm not a big fan of that at all. So you know what? I've met a lot of different guys over the years. We play in the Scotiabank the Pro-Am Alzheimer's Pro-Am in Edmonton, and you know we had Jeremy Roenick on our team one year. We had drafted him second. He was an absolute beauty, like told stories to all the guys, hung out with everybody. Great guy. Joe Nieuwendyk, still one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. With one of the great, like I knew Joe Nieuwendyk could shoot the puck, but when you're on the ice with Joe Nieuwendyk, and so we always made a deal. We're like, hey, one shift a period, you have to show us. It used to be like in his case, a Hall of Famer. He's like, okay. And so one shift, he would light it up. And I remember he came across the blue line and his snapshot, like it's harder than 99.99% of people's slap shots. And it was just an absolute laser, top shelf, goalie barely moved. And it was walking Gage, by the way. Sorry, Gager. But, and the guys on the bench are just like, you know, Joe comes back to, you know, and I think people, because he's so just humble and quiet, but man, he was a killer. And Owen Nolan was another one we played with. And he was actually much better of a storyteller in the game on the bench because he was such an intense human being. Like, and he talked about how when he played, you know, if he played on Toronto and then he was, you know, he's in San Jose and then he was on Toronto, he goes, I had no friends on San Jose. Like he was that serious, right? And he was just like, yeah, it didn't matter. When the game's on, no one's my friend. And there's very few guys I'm friends with, like really friends. And so when we would play the game, you know, if some guy would stick him or something, even slightly, all of a sudden you could just see it. And the Irishman in him would come out and then he'd tell everybody stories on the bench. But then once the game was over in the room, he was ultra quiet. So we would try to fire him up in the game because then we know we'd get better stories during the course of the game when he was sitting on the bench.
But you know what's funny? You know that made him a better player, right? Like a guy like that who's fairly rugged and he's strong and, you know, good shot. He just, to me, Owen Nolan looked like a hockey player. You know, like he really looked like a player. And knowing that would make him even just a little bit more mean and a little bit more effective. I love that. And by the way, Nieuwendyk, it's quick. I said it when he played, he was one of the most underrated players. But as time is passing, more and more people don't bring up Joe Nieuwendyk. I think he was one of the best of his generation, one of the most underrated players of that whole era.
Oh, I would agree with you. Now, I need to know, Terry, I just noticed your cat rolled in behind you on, you know, had a big yawn and then
one of my cats.
How many cats do you have?
I got a couple, and then my parents live real close by, and they've got a couple.
So just, do you guys have do you have cat parties? Is that what I'm hearing? Like
my daughter, look, I got a lizard over there in the corner, a gecko. We had a little dog and he passed away. It's just, I would have dogs. I love pets. I'm just not here enough. The cats are smart enough to fend for themselves. And in between my parents' house, which isn't far, they can make, the dog would be lost. Dog would be absolutely lost. Wouldn't be able to he would die of loneliness. Princess here behind me, she's cool seeing me every 3 days.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, we do have the Hall of Famer now joining us, Warren Moon, of course, a career I don't have to tell Edmonton fans about, Hall of Famer, CFL, NFL, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Warren, always good to have you on the show. I want to get to, first of all, just talking about quarterback mechanics, right? You obviously had one of the strongest arms we've ever seen. And no, some guys have strong arms, they're not accurate. But here we are in 2023 with more technology and more advancements than ever. And there's still a shortage of good quarterbacks. How come?
There really isn't a shortage of good quarterbacks. There's a shortage of experienced quarterbacks and quarterbacks that have been in the league enough time to get their feet wet, to kind of learn, you know, what it takes to be a professional, to kind of learn their way around the league and know personnel and that. We're drafting quarterbacks so much higher in the draft now and expecting them to play right away, as opposed to giving them a year or two just to kind of get seasoned in that and learn a little bit more, not only about what they need to do technique-wise, but also what their offense is that they're going to be inheriting, and also the players that they're going to be with that they have to learn. They have to learn their personalities. They have to learn their strengths and weaknesses as players. So they're asking these young players, like yesterday, there was 3 rookies that started in the National Football League for the first time in their first game. That's a lot to digest in a very short period of time. So I don't think it's that we don't have good quarterbacks. I think the quarterback position right now is as strong as it's ever been. I think it's coached as well as it's ever been coached, but you still need that experience. There's no substitute for that.
So Is it fair to say then maybe there's not enough patience overall for the position? Either patience to let the young guys learn as backups. Like Aaron Rodgers was behind Brett Favre for 2 years on the sidelines before I ever played a game. And I wonder if that helps. Do you think there needs to be a different mindset from executives and coaches and how they develop the quarterback position at the NFL?
Well, some people do have that mindset. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years actually behind Brett Favre. Jordan Love, their quarterback now, sat for 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes sat a year behind Alex Smith. So you can go on throughout the history of the league and see the guys who had a chance to kind of sit and learn. Even Tom Brady, sat through his first year behind Drew Bledsoe. When you have a chance to sit and learn it and get yourself acclimated to what you're getting ready to go up against, it takes a whole lot more pressure off of a young guy. And then if you're going to a team that's a really good football team where you're surrounded by pieces that help make your job easier, whether it's offensive line play, have a great running game that takes pressure off of you offensively, and then a great defense that's going to get you the ball back if you do make some type of mistakes. Those things are going to help a young quarterback too, where a lot of the good young quarterbacks that come in the league in the first round at the top of the draft, they're going to bad teams. That's why they're drafted so high. So they don't have all those things at their disposal when they go there, and sometimes they struggle early.
Mr. Moon, it's an honor to get to interview you. I have a question. Your situation was unique. So you go down, speaking of the 3 rookie quarterbacks I'm talking. So your first year in the NFL, you're coming off 6 years in the CFL of the most successful years, 5 championships, but there still had to be, I don't know, nerves or a level of, a young player blossoming into an NFL player. Did that year feel like you were a rookie, or, I guess a lot of people would have looked up to you like a veteran because you had so much success. Explain that type of first year when you were in the NFL.
Well, I think maturity was the right word for me. I was much more mature at 26 years old when I went down there than I would have been if I was 21 and came right out of college. But I did have to kind of do some of the same things these young guys had to do. I went to a new team. I moved to a new city. At this time, I had 3 kids and a wife that was pregnant with my 4th. So we had that dynamic that we had to get adjusted to. And then I had to learn a new offense as well as a new philosophy of how the game was played. Because remember, I played in the United States in college, but then I played my pro ball in Canada, which was a totally different system and a totally different rule set. So now I had to come back and adjust to what the NFL system was, learn my new players, learn a new system. So yeah, in some ways I was a rookie, but I was mature enough because of my age and what I had experienced to understand what I had to deal with.
All those years and all those games, how did injuries affect you? Do any linger right now?
I feel really good, to tell you the truth. I was going to the gym today, and I still go to the gym a couple of times a week. I feel great. I came out of it pretty good. The gods took very, very good care of me, and I took care of my body. So yeah, I don't have anything that I wake up lingering with or anything like that. I can still throw the football with my son, and I still work out on the treadmill and all the different things to keep myself in shape. So I feel pretty good right now.
Warren Moon joins us. Warren, we saw Joe Burrow. He was coming off an injury, didn't play in the preseason, and Cincinnati's offense really struggled. And there was a lot of offenses in week 1 in the NFL that struggled, and a lot of them didn't play their starters very much. Do you think they've gone too far as not playing any of your starters offensively and some even defensively in the preseason? Does there need to be like a half or a quarter? Or do you think it's smart not to play them at all?
No question about it. They've gone too far. They're so worried about injuries, and nobody wants to put their players out in a meaningless game because they don't want them to get hurt. But Joe Burrow got hurt in practice. He hurt his calf muscle in practice. So football players are going to get hurt. You don't know where it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Injuries happen in sports. But to go this far as to not have your team go out and play at all throughout the preseason game, and you can play all these inter-squad scrimmages and different things that they do against other teams, but it's not the same as going out into a stadium where there's 60,000, 70,000 people. These games mean something now where preseason games don't mean a lot. And that's your first time going out there. No, you're asking those guys almost the impossible to go out there and perform well. So some guys did yesterday, like Tua Tua had a great game for Miami, but then you look at Joe Burrow, he really, really struggled because he didn't play very much. So I think guys should play at least one preseason game just to get used to the fact that this is a real game and everything that goes along with it. But like I said, these coaches are so scared of their players getting hurt, and that's not the way to play the game of football. You can't play scared.
Warren, for many years, of course, you've been an analyst, and so you understand all the positions, but the quarterback's one that gets a lot of talk. And here you talked about the development of young players and Trevor Lawrence. And when you look at Trevor Lawrence, the rookie, and I know it's only one game, but you look at Trevor Lawrence now, where do you see where we're going to have the most growth in his performance as a quarterback this season?
I think the experience of being in this system for his second year in a row. His first year, he was under Urban Meyer in their system, and now he went to the new system last year, did pretty well, and it really came on strong at the end of the year. You could tell he was really starting to feel more comfortable with it over the last half of the season and as they went into the playoffs. Now he's had another whole offseason, training camp, preseason, and he's going to be that much better in the offense because he knows what he likes. Their coaching staff knows what he likes. They'll eliminate those other things that he doesn't do as well. And that's where you have the big improvement, where they're eliminating things that they don't need to use because he's not good at it or doesn't like it, and they're going to use the things that he's been successful at. So that has a lot to do with what happens between that first and second year. In his case, second and third year in that system.
What do you think the biggest change in the position has been from when you came in to now?
I think it's just coached better, for one. The passing game has really dominated the NFL now over the last, maybe 10 years or so. The quarterback and the receiver has become the most important guys on the offensive side of the ball, and then your left tackle to make sure you're protecting your quarterback. But you see what's been happening with the running back position, how it's been discounted. They don't want to pay running backs, don't feel like they're as important, don't feel like they have the longevity, where the wide receivers now are making upwards of $30 million a year. The quarterbacks are making up over $50 million a year. That's where the emphasis now is in the passing game. And that's why they're trying to protect the quarterback as much as they can now. So you can't hit him anywhere, in the head or in the knees or anywhere like that. You want to protect the most important commodities out there. And that's what they're doing.
Or not one last one for me anyway. When you look at the evolution of the game, and I'm admittedly biased probably, but I was a huge Dan Marino fan, and yourself, and I look at Dan Marino and Warren Moon as two of the strongest arms, pure passing quarterbacks in an era where it wasn't as pass happy as it is now, right? It's no question. Do you ever sit and watch and say, man, it would have been fun to play now in this era as a quarterback, and just imagine what you could have done, or Marino and types like that, John Elway in this type of offense? I
get that question asked a lot because our era, I think, kind of was the turning of the transition towards the passing game. When I was with Houston, we were running the run and shoot and spreading it out and throwing it all over the place. That's when you started to see the change in the way the game was being played offensively. And Dan Marino was one of those guys who was like you said, one of the best passers in the history of the game. He was the all-time leading passer when I retired, and I think I was third at that time. You also had John Elway. You had Joe Montana. You had Jim Kelly. You had Troy Aikman. So all these guys I just named right there in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, some very, very great quarterbacks that could really throw the football, and they were just starting to take off in the passing game. And then that next generation came in, and it just kind of kept evolving.
And I lied. I do have one quick last one for Monday Night Football. What's your expectation of Aaron Rodgers? You were a Hall of Famer. You did change teams late in your career. How difficult is it for him to go into a brand new team with all new teammates, new system, new verbiage and everything?
Yeah, there's an adjustment period. There's no question about it. But in his favor, he's going to the Jets where his offensive coordinator was with him in Green Bay. So they're basically running the same offense. He didn't have much learning to do. The other guys on the team had more learning to do because their offensive coordinator was coming in this year where Aaron kind of knew everything. So Aaron was like a coach in the meeting rooms because he has such a familiarity with it, and he could coach the rest of the players. But he's still making a change. He's going to a new team, and he's done a great job, I think, of reaching out and really trying to learn his guys and take them out for dinner and take them to concerts and do all these different things. So he has more of a relationship with them, and I think he's done a great job of that. Now we'll have to see what the proof is in the pudding when he goes out on the field, because he's playing against a really good Buffalo team that has been together for a while. Everybody thinks that their window is closing and they better get their Super Bowl done here pretty quickly. So this is an important opener for the Jets, especially to be at home. Everybody's anticipating and wants good things to happen right away. This is a big game for Aaron and this team because of how much anticipation has been throughout the whole offseason.
Warren, always a pleasure to have you on the show. I love your insight. You're looking great. Enjoy the workouts. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the year.
There you go. That is the legend Hall of Famer Warren Moon. And I like what he said. He goes, hey, I think the quarterback position's fine. It's how they develop the quarterbacks. And we could make that argument in a lot of leagues, Terry, that they still rush some guys for whatever reason in pro sports. 18-year-olds in the NHL, history shows it's not very favorable for most of them. When we come back, another edition of Ryan's Rant on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
You'll absolutely love the new and app-proved Booster Juice app. Download it today and start earning berry points for app-amazing rewards. Apply your points for all of your Booster Juice favorites for free. From booster balls to smoothies, snacks, and combo deals, even digital gift cards. Plus, receive personalized offers that appeal directly to you. The new and app-proved Booster Juice app. More than just online ordering. Download it today. Details at boosterjuice.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Hey sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 2nd season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the U14, 15, 17, and U18 age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast online on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
With shorter days ahead, that impending end of summer could get you down. I know, pal, the champ understands. But chin up, Grumpy Pants, because summer lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. We've extended the sensational season with extra heaters and wind blockers. Yeah, we're good, but hey, we ain't miracle workers. Weather will eventually dictate, but for now, soak it up, sunshine. Check out your favorite Canadian Brewhouse location for extended patio season at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
For the first time ever in Edmonton, the Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, downtown Edmonton City Center, this Friday through Sunday. Save up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Plus, you could win your purchase. Up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Edmonton City Center, this Friday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 till 4. Details on Facebook at Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, Edmonton.
Denim Ford's roots run deep in the history of Central Alberta. Like always, you can experience the same honest pricing and honest service that you've come to expect from all of us at Denim Ford for the past 65 years. Denim Ford is proud to be Canada's only 50-time President award-winning dealership in customer satisfaction, treating every customer like family. Visit Denham Ford on the world-famous Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or from home at denhamford.ca.
Cars cost less than Wetaskiwin.
With Club Room.
When I die and the name of to rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to die, going up to the Styrian sky.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan back with you on Monday edition of the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, Terry will be our weekly Monday and Thursday co-host. Now, there might be the odd show he has to miss coming up because he will be filming another season of Shoresy, which season 2 comes out later this month. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So we look forward to it. I'm actually going to, I'm starting to rewatch season 1 just so I'm up to date on everything. I like to do that for short shows, comedies. I think it's fantastic. It just allows me stuff that made me laugh the first time. It's always good to revisit it a little bit. Do you rewatch yourself, Terry? Like before you go to shoot, do you rewatch the season so you're like, okay, this is how I was, now I want to evolve my character at all?
It's a great question. I'm critical. It's the same thing with my podcast, but it is better to watch and it is better to listen again because you'll never get any better otherwise. And of all the things, I'm doing a stunt actually this Thursday and Friday. I'll be here for the show, but I'm just doing it early in the day on another show around here. But so meaning it's part of my livelihood. I don't always go back and watch, but when it comes to Shoresy, that's a different animal. I'm lucky to have it, but it's so very popular and all encompassing, and that, and it seems like if things, knock on wood, we're going to keep going. So it's in my best interest, and it is. Look, I don't mind. I find it hard to plug things that I create, but I didn't have it. This is me being lucky. I'm delivering what Jared has written for me, so I don't mind saying that. I think it is a good show. I think it's well written, and it's kind of worth the say. Especially you just said that. It's worth. Trust me, I know what's coming in season 2, and it certainly helps if you watch 1 again.
Okay, I like it. And they also a little bit of a teaser. Have you ever had an on-screen kiss?
That's a great question, my friend. No, I haven't yet.
Okay, so if you have one, I know it sounds strange because obviously you've kissed people in your life, but normally when you kiss them, it's because you actually really like each other, or you're attracted to one another. Is that a thing that you ever thought about it? And now I know that there might be some romantic interludes this year with old Hitch. Are you prepared?
It might happen this year. Who knows? But am I prepared? So I was a stand-in for a few years, and a stand-in is exactly what it sounds like. That was one of the breaks I got, right? I was crew on Frontier. I told you I had that one scene at the beginning. Yeah. But I was the same height and weight as one of the actors. So what they do is they get you in and they go through. They'll say, okay, we're going to block this scene, and they'll get everybody in. They're in their street clothes. And then when they go through it, they go to the trailer and get their hair and makeup done. Lighting gets all set up, and you stand in their place for lighting purposes, right, and camera purposes. So when you're in that position, you're at ground zero. So you learn a lot about what's going on around you. So I was a stand-in, and on this show Frontier, season 2 and 3, and one of the girls that was standing in for the girls, but it was 2 of us basically. They did call for that, so we were in bed and we had our clothes on and everything, but we had to simulate all of that stuff. Yeah, so I did actually kiss a girl, just wasn't on camera.
Oh, okay. Were you nervous?
It was pretty easy with this girl because we're talking all day. You're on set for like 12 and 15 hours most days. So, but it was. I remember thinking to myself, wow, if the cameras were rolling and I had to do this, there would have to be some chemistry. I can see how. I used to wonder how actors. I'm like, well, if you're an actor, why would you be with another actor? Just knowing the grind of it, and that this happens all the time. But I think it's because of those situations, knowing what I know, and knowing that, again, me kissing, not yet. Hopefully, here and there, but my roles will grow and I'll get to mature as an actor. But when I've seen it, because there's a level you want to take the girl. If I was kissing somebody, I would want to take the girl out and at least let's be on the level here, let's not be totally out of the ball, but let's be nice. What would you like here? I'm going to put a breath mint in, but do you like the Beatles? You want to listen to some live music? You want to go out for some wings? I don't know, something easy. But I could easily see how that could grow. You're doing something that not a lot of people are doing, and you got to put yourself in this world to be in love with this other person that's probably good looking. I can see how it morphs into a relationship here and there.
Yeah, no, I get it. All right, let's get to Ryan's rant, brought to you by Action Electrical. As later this month, they will be celebrating their 50th year in business. Don started in his basement, and they just kept growing, expanding people. Now Blake runs the company, huge office on the south side. They do tons of great work in the community. Congratulations, actionelectrical.net on 50 years.
So you want some Ryan's rants. So I thought about this. And I actually didn't realize I was going to do one today. Now, that's not an excuse because I got one coming. But the one I'm going to talk about astrology, okay? Now, I don't want to upset anybody. And I know some people look at astrology like they look at religion, meaning it's a very polarizing subject. Look, I'll tell you this going in. I'm spiritual. I grew up Catholic. I believe in science. I find it kind of hard to believe in Noah's Ark and two of everything getting on an ark. But I do believe that most of the commandments make total sense. I believe being spiritual, people that have passed on, I'm not ruling out that there's some level of energy that I can maybe pray to them. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I meditate. Yes. I believe there's higher powers, but I don't think, just my opinion, that we can categorize it into one. I think we probably can't comprehend whatever it is. So when it comes to astrology, I think that's the most obvious one. I say this because I brought this up on my podcast a little while ago, and I had a bunch of people email me, DM me, everything else, keeping me up to date on astrology and why I should get into it. And there's one thing I don't love about religion. It's when religious people try to push it on me. Now, here's what I mean. So, first of all, if I'm going to buy astrology, I think what I'm talking about is there's 12 astrological signs. They almost line up with the months, not quite, but there's 12 of them. And we're basing the stars, the sun, and the planets and where they sit on how that's going to affect one of these 12 groups, me being a Capricorn, okay? If I'm wrong here, as for what you correct me. So that's what we're saying. So first of all, the biggest obvious flaw in that is that there's 12 sets of people that are going around, and we're all being guided by some kind of, I don't know, gravitational, supernatural pull from lights up in the sky. Now, in the year one, I can see that. I can see, you know what? Noah's Ark makes sense. There's nothing else going on. What's that up there? That's Capricorn. We're looking at it. I don't know. Someone made a goat picture out of it. These are constellations that now we know that each one of those lights are millions and millions of light years away. It just took that long to get here. And if we were any other angle, we would realize that they're not two-dimensional on a painting. If we were looking at them from the other side, they would be millions of light years from each other, and it wouldn't even look like a goat or a Pisces or a Big Dipper or whatever it might be, right? So It's just our angle. Now that we know how big the universe is, now that we've invented the wheel, we've come up with irrigation, agriculture, electricity, computers. We know all these things. Hell, some of these people that believe in astrology are going to travel provinces and miles, hundreds of miles throughout states, the other side of the country, so they can see an eclipse based on the very science that these people are telling us is why astrology is not, I don't want to say not real. I don't want to upset people, but in my mind, it's just like, put it this way. Please, I respect everybody's personal space and what you might believe in. Hell, you got to believe in something, I guess. I don't mean hell, I mean heck, comma. You got to believe in something, I think, to have faith and to be a human. And I mean, we're here. It's a miracle we're all here. But it doesn't have to be a miracle that was created by astrology. Please don't tell me that I'm going to have a bad day tomorrow because Neptune's fourth moon and Saturn's rings don't line up with the sun and Pluto the way, in a desirable way. I'm not going to miss a penalty shot because Jupiter's eighth moon isn't in line with the sun the way it should be. That's what I think.
So, but just for the record, what are you, a Capricorn?
I'm a Capricorn.
A Capricorn. Yeah. All right.
And I was raised Catholic, and I think there's things on both that there's parts of astrology and parts of, not the US, there's parts of religions that I'm sure make sense. But, I'm ruling out astrology. I'm sorry.
You're ruling out astrology. No, that's fair. Well, the thing that I get a chuckle about is because my birthday, where it lands on, I'm a Scorpio, but then you would read a different astrology book and then it says I'm a Libra. And I'm like, well, I grew up all the time believing I was a Scorpio, and a lot of the traits that they say are your Scorpio. I'm like, yeah, okay, I kind of get that. Impatient at times, a few other things, sure. And then when it switched, I was like, well, how can you have different dates? So already I'm skeptical because the dates move depending on which astrology book you're reading. So that's my only major complaint is they don't even have consistency on the most simple thing of a start date and an end date for each one.
Well, yes, and in the other ones, at least the God or form of higher power is not really visible. So there's a level of mystery to it. But it's been proven. We know what those lights are now. That's not a light. That's a planet. That's not a light. It's a star. That's Alpha Centauri. This is our galaxy, the Milky Way. I get it again when we were making fire and coming up with the wheel. You had to have some reason, I could see it even, like I said, in the year 200, more than as time went on. I mean, just if any of them were proven to be untrue, I think it's astrology, right?
Well, we got the text lines humming. We'll get to that.
I know now.
Yeah. No, that's
made this polarizing.
Great conversation. I like it. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan. That was Ryan's rant brought to you by Action Electrical. Trust me, there's no joke. It doesn't matter what sign you are. They will fix you properly. Any issues you have, Action Electrical will fix it. When we return, Andi Petrillo makes her Sports 1440 debut. She will join us every Monday in the 4:00 hour. But first, let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, your structural engineering specialist. Whether in the process of a rental or building your dream home, BIE can help you out. Go to BIEENG.com.
And pucks, cleats, and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Credited with signature sauce, toppings, and original pesto. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
It's time to gear up for fall at Wolf GMC Buick, but there's a catch. We'll get to that. You're not going to pay high rates like 6.9%. You'll pay 0% financing on all in-stock GMC Sierra Half-Ton Pro Editions, and that's for 60 months. You'll also save $750 if you're a Costco member. 0% financing for 60 months on all in-stock GMC Sierra Half-Ton Pro Editions. The catch? You'll need to get here ASAP because inventory is cruising off the lot pretty quickly. Wolf GMC Buick.
Most people call it.
We're making it easy.
Your goalie coach can be on the end. Well,
Traction Electrical is expanding throughout Alberta.
Let's start with the green. We'll return. We have
Action Electrical is the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta. What does this mean for Action Electrical and Big Hill Electrical Services? It means that they are able to support their clientele all over Alberta with the same high level of professionalism and integrity. From conception to completion and beyond, throughout Alberta, contact
the professionals
at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR. Give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MP, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. Beat the heat and let Cochran's Automotive recharge your AC. Call 780-452-5001.
There's nothing like having a little skin in the game to make things interesting. But when a little skin becomes more than you can afford to lose, it's time to take a break from sports betting. Set a budget and stick to it. If you gamble, use your game sense. It all started with two brothers. 30 years later, Leduc Goldsmiths is still here for you. When it comes to all your jewelry needs, just ask the guys at Leduc Goldsmiths. Family owned and run from top to bottom, from beginning to end. Their family jewelry store is your family jewelry store. You won't find the same face-to-face service anywhere else. It's the reason their customer base is filled with return customers, even from out of town. Leduc Goldsmiths on Main Street, Leduc. Leduc's jewelry store, family owned and operated for over 30 years.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Get incredible savings on great products with the lowest buy. Only at Buy Low Foods.
Ready! Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
I love the colorful clothes you wear and the way the sunlight plays upon her head. I hear the sound of a gentle wind on the wind that lifts her perfume through the air.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations.
Good afternoon. The Jason Gregor Show, presented by our title sponsor, playalberta.ca. It's your digital home for online gambling excitement, including casino, live dealers, lottery, instants, and sports betting. Check it out today at playalberta.ca. Use the promo code SPORTS20 and get a free $20 wager. We will have our 3-play coming up in the 5 o'clock hour today. So, tough weekend. Few upsets. Not surprising. It happens. That's how it goes. So Jason Gregor alongside Terry Ryan. And TR, the whole point of a rant is to get people fired up. Some people loving it. Some people wondering. Well, this one actually made me laugh. I want to read it to you. He says he's a little grumpy today. Maybe it's because Neptune's just on a different axis. So there you go, TR. Maybe that's explaining it. Right? It's all about. It's all
I knew I'd upset some people, but hey, it was pushed on me, and I don't like anybody to be pushy with me, especially when it comes to spiritual stuff. I'll pick myself, you know.
Okay, I like it. We are live in the eWell studio, of course, proudly sponsored by your local electrical distributor, and they tell you to stick by for an electrifying show that's going to light up the rest of your day. That is eWell, EWEL.ca. Jason Gregor alongside Terry Ryan. You can always get involved in the show. You can text us in our Jiffy Lube inbox, 833-401-1440, or email us, Gregor, at sports1440.ca. Spec.ca. We are going to get to our big guest of the day now, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. And we welcome in a lady who has traveled all over. What a busy summer, from the World Cup, obviously, to the World Championship, some record-breaking first-time results ever for Canada. So lots to discuss. We welcome in our weekly Monday contributor, Andi Petrillo from Sports One and CBC Sports. Andi, how you doing?
Mm-hmm. I'm great. How are you?
I am excellent. It's been a busy summer for you, which is fantastic. So I want to start, first of all, with there's lots of news in soccer since I spoke to you last. Obviously, the Women's World Cup, and it was kind of a shocker where a lot of the favorites, didn't go as deep as they want. But I think that's a good thing at times, because it shows that the depth in the women's game is expanding. You have more countries involved that are legit competitors to it. What did you make of the Women's Cup overall? And I guess, and then secondly, how you felt Canada played?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated when you obviously talk about the women's game, because there were so many incredible firsts, as you mentioned, jumping up to 32 teams. So you have this greater player pool and country pool, which also means like there are some greater underdog stories. You also had an increase in the prize money. For the first time ever, FIFA individually negotiated the women's broadcast rights. So there's all this kind of stuff that was, really great. Obviously, we know the cloud that overshadowed the Spanish women's win. And then from a local perspective, a Canadian perspective, the Canadians are knocked out of the group stage. First time in over a decade that's happened. And there was a lot of hype going in with them being the reigning Olympic champions, although, and I don't want to take that away from them, because being an Olympic champion, it's hard to do. It's exceptional. But the Olympics and the World Cup truly are two different tournaments. And that's why, as much as they went in as the Olympic champs, and that did create some sort of target on their back, it's just a completely different game at the World Cup level. So, yeah, it was really disappointing not to see them get out of the group.
Yeah, very disappointed, I think, after that. But they weren't the only one. There was quite a few teams, I think, that went in there with higher expectations than they wanted. So, that can be a good thing. And then the second big story now, of course, John Herdman leaves the men's national program. He's going to coach Toronto FC. Where do you feel the men's program is at, and what should they be looking for? Do you see an obvious choice to lead this program?
I don't see an obvious choice yet. I mean, Mauro Biello, who was the assistant coach, is going to be on an interim basis. He's somebody who has Major League Soccer experience. He's also coached the team during Olympic qualification. So he has experience with a lot of those younger players. There's this belief that he'd be a little bit more willing to rotate the lineup in that sense and give maybe some younger players a go. Some people feel like one of the knocks against Herdman was perhaps a little too much of a commitment to the older players and the veterans. Stop me if you've heard this story before. I know we've also talked about that in hockey. So I think with Herdman leading, where is this team? I think it's in a really good place. You have superstars. You have Alphonso Davies. You have Jonathan David. You have Kyle Larin. You have Tajon Buchanan, Stephanie Eustachio. I can go on and on and on with where the men are. And I think John Herdman was exceptional for this program when they needed him. Because at that time, I mean, these guys are still young, but they didn't win the trophies with their pro teams that they now have. So he still had this young team. He gave them confidence. He motivated them. He gave them faith in, quite frankly, a program that has been horrible for decades. And he made them believe in themselves. But I also believe, as exceptional as Herdman was for this program, I think he also took them as far as he could. And I think he also saw the writing on the wall. We'll get into, obviously now he's entering the pro game in Major League Soccer with Toronto FC. But I really do feel like he took them as far as he could go. And I think everything that he's done, he should receive immense credit for that and recognition for that. But I also think the timing was right for him to also go on to his next challenge. And I think what you need here is you need somebody who can really master the X's and O's of the game. Because again, now you're talking about players who have won multiple trophies with their pro teams. You're talking about players who have been under some of the best managers in the world. They're going to spot a phony a mile away. So you just need somebody, I think, who who understands the culture here, who understands the history here, and more importantly, just understands the tactics of the game that can take this team to the next level, because coaching at a home World Cup is going to be a big deal.
Andy, a few years ago, the men and the women achieved a high level of success, and it seemed that they were destined for greatness. Well, that's in the eyes of the beholder. I mean, they were in some ways destined for greatness, which they've already achieved. But let's say Herdman leaving, and with finances structurally, I know there's been some questions. How do we stand here hosting the World Cup in a couple of years? I guess from an organizational level here, do we have our ducks in a row?
Nah, there's no CBA that's been signed. They're still very much in a labor dispute, and we've heard of certain reasons why. I mean, obviously the main thing, the players, they want transparency. They want to see the finances. They want to understand them. They want to know, what is Canada Soccer doing to bring in the most money that it can bring in? How is it being spent between the national teams? Of course, the women very much on top of equal structure, equal pay, equal resources. And then there's little things, right? Like imaging, marketing rights. So understanding what's being done there. How are you generating income, and then how are you dispersing it? And obviously I don't want to completely get into, the nitty gritty and maybe even bore some people with it. But, the bottom line is that, the players themselves are not necessarily on the same page either. And what I mean by that is the men and women, they have to obviously come together and agree, because I'm calling it the big deal, right? Like, this is the big deal. The women have always had their own deal. The men have actually never been unionized. So they've never really had a deal with Canada Soccer. They've had certain things in place and certain understandings. But now for the first time ever, the men have representation. So they're coming together, these two sides, the men and women's national team, and they're trying to come up with the big deal, which is what the Americans signed. But you have to literally agree on splitting everything equally. Are the players there yet? Some would suggest no. So that's why a deal isn't getting signed. But where are we for 2026? I mean, and that's, so going back to a manager, even that question there, Jason, like if I'm a manager, I'm probably looking at Canada Soccer saying, okay, if I come coach your team, like, are you guys going to get your ducks in order? Are you guys going to sign this deal? And by the way, the men have actually boycotted a game. Now it's a little bit different when you're unionized. It's not so easy to do that. But if I'm a manager, I'm still going, hey, you going to boycott a game on me? Or are you going to show up, or is this going to happen again? So, of course, it's going to lead a new manager to ask those types of questions before they come on board. So it's a roundabout way, Terry, to say that it's still a mess. But I just really hope that as they work on that behind the scenes, they can still get their act together on the pitch. Because coming up September 22nd and September 26th, the women have two massive qualifying games against Jamaica. This is it. This is their last chance to qualify for the Olympics. They're the defending gold medalists. It'll be absolutely heartbreaking if they don't actually go to Paris 2024. They will not be there to defend their gold. So these two games coming up are massive. You got to put everything else aside. And you have to be able to concentrate inside those white lines. We'll see if they can do it.
Here in Canada, track and field, I mean, it's popular. I don't think it's covered as much as many of the other sports. Once in a while, you get drips of success in the media. I see Michael, I hope I'm saying this right, Arope, I think I'm saying that right, won the
Marco,
800.
Yeah.
Arope? Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Michael Arope. So he wins the 800 World Championship. Now, what's his ceiling?
Yeah.
And do we have any other men or women on the bubble coming up that we should be looking out for?
So I will say I had an absolute blast in Budapest, Hungary, covering the World Athletics Championships, despite it being 40 degrees and I was a hot mess the entire time. I gave up trying to look good on air. I mean, some would argue I don't anyways, but that's fine. It was just disgusting. Like when I say dripping sweat, like I think I was doing one of my on-air hits and I can see like a droplet on my eyelash that had like come down from my forehead, made its way through my eyebrow. And I was just like watching it dangle. I'm like, oh God. Anyways, all that to say, this was an incredibly successful World Championships. You mentioned Marco Arope, so gold in the 800 meter. This guy's ticked off, man. He didn't make the final at the Tokyo Olympics, crashed and burned in the semifinal. He's been motivated ever since. So now he's gone and he's now finally won that world title. So he is gunning for gold in Paris. And I pretty much think he's unstoppable. He's still ranked number one in the world. his dedication. And as you know, between the ears, that intangible, you can't really explain like what really pushes and motivates. So I think if anything, the world title just made him hungrier and motivated him even more. Like he's not satiated. So he was phenomenal. And for the first time, some people would argue ever, maybe I'll just be safe and say for the first time in a long time, because there's always somebody who's going to correct me from like, well, 50 years ago. But for the first time in a long time, we're talking about the field events for Canada. So both our hammer throwers captured gold, which is pretty incredible. And then obviously in shot put as well with Sarah Mitten. So, you know, in hammer throw, it was pretty incredible what the Canadians were able to do. And then in shot put. And then I guess in some ways you can consider decathlon a field event too. A lot of stuff is field. So to have the world champion and Pierce Lepage, and then Damian Warner, who's the Olympic champ, you know, finished silver behind him. It's a big deal. I mean, guys, there's a lot to be excited about with track and field for Canada.
Oh, and honestly, like, you know, Cameron Rogers, what she did, like it, to me, when you look at all the golds in events that we've never won before as a country, it just bodes super well. And, you know, A-Rob being here from Edmonton, I know a few kids in town that have had the opportunity to, you know, have him, like they've ran and he's done some speaking engagements with young kids, and they rave about him and just what a nice, down-to-earth guy is. Obviously, he's fiercely competitive, but when you look at his body type, like, I agree. Like, I'm like, how's someone going to beat him in the 800? Like, to me, his biggest competition might be himself. Just stay healthy, because he is an absolute force.
He is, and he's salt of the earth kind of people too. And I just love it when you meet these athletes who are just also phenomenal human beings. He was actually scouted in basketball. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was offered a basketball scholarship. It was to Canadian University.
Yes.
But at the time, he had also been scouted by a coach to do track, and he went to his track coach and said, you know, what should I do? And obviously the track coach is a little biased, but said, like, I feel like you could accomplish more on the track side of things. Like, you could truly be a star. Whereas in basketball, maybe you make the team, maybe you don't, you know, maybe you're the star on the team, maybe you're not, but I really see star potential in track. And he listened to the coach, and now look, he's a world champion. And you know, he wants to be called an Olympic champ as well. So it's pretty incredible what he's doing.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, before we let you go, Andi, I'm curious, what's your sign?
Oh, I heard you guys talking about that, which is so funny. I'm Aries.
Now,
so I'm a fire sign.
A fire sign. Do you believe in astrology? Like, is it accurate? Like, when you read the Aries description, I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm not a big person. I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily for it. I've read the Scorpio one once or twice, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see some of these things. But how close are you a representative of Aries?
I actually am close. I mean, Aries are just jerks, man. But like, I mean, we're we really are, because we're the leaders. We're aggressive. We're arrogant. We're obnoxious. I'm like, yup. So like, check. Of course. I mean, do I read the signs and say, today is a good day for me to make a financial investment because Saturn's in Pluto and in the moon and up your, you know what? No. I don't follow it to that extent. But I will confess that I may or may not have the ram's horns and some fire tattooed on me somewhere on my body. So to an extent, I do look at the signs and just kind of, you know, understand personalities maybe a little bit more. How about that?
Okay. Well, we learned something today, that you have at least one tattoo, we know. So we'll find out as we go along on Mondays if there's any more tattoos and what they are. I know TR's got a few. So I have virgin skin. I don't have any tattoos. So
baby skin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's soft, smooth. I'm probably a little wrinkly now, but still, it's all right. Andi, I very much look forward to having you on every Monday on the show. Have yourself a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week.
Me too. Great talk, guys. See you later.
Thanks.
That is Andi Petrillo from One Soccer, also, of course, on CBC. Very talented, and hey, she's got the Aries tattoo. This is good. It's creating conversation. TR.
Yeah, I've polarized half the audience, and I know that. First person has not only. Yeah, she goes, well, you know, I kind of pay attention. She's got a tattooed on her body, permanent ink. Yeah, right. I've offended a lot of people. I knew I would, but whatever. That's my thoughts.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Right.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on the Monday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. We have 5 questions coming up. Spec. Also, Robbie Schremp, who is now executive director of the Hong Kong Tigers in hockey. We'll talk to him about that coming up later on in the program. We got a lot of texts to get to. Also, we have a lot of requests about one story that I've yet to hear, but clearly Terry's told it somewhere. We will talk about that when we return next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get involved. You can text us at 833-401-1440 or email us, Gregor at sports1440.ca, Connor at sports1440.ca, and our Jiffy Lube inbox.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference. Volvo of Edmonton.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
Feel the electric atmosphere and celebrate every Edmonton Oilers home game this season inside Rogers Place. Time is running out. Come be a part of what looks to be a season to remember. Less than 325 season seats remain for the 23-24 Edmonton Oilers season. Hurry to edmontonoilers.com/season seats to get yours before they're gone. Don't miss any historic moments from this incredible lineup. Get your season seats today at edmontonoilers.com/season seats.
Timber! It's September at the Lawnmower Hospital. And whether you're day call for felling an old oak or making nimble cuts 60 feet up or bucking firewood down to size, Echo Chainsaws provides the power and durability for the toughest jobs. The Lawnmower Hospital has a huge variety of Echo saws, from top handles for climbing or the Farm and Ranch Timberwolf, plus lots of Echo brush cutters, chippers, and shredders for cleanup. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City. A whole world of casino games.
18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Girl, close your eyes. Let that rhythm get into you. Don't try to fight it. There ain't nothing that you can do. Relax your mind. Lay back and groove with mine. You gotta feel that heat, and we can ride the boogie.
Oh, this is a good tune. Woo! Nice. Awesome. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great day. If you're listening on Sports 1440 online at sports1440.ca, if you have subscribed, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Get on our YouTube channel for Oilers Nation. You can enjoy the show watching it. We got lots of comments going on there. You can chime in as well. And of course, Terry Ryan joining it. Now, TR, when is it November when you're filming next?
If so, it hasn't been announced, but I think they're leaning towards that. If we were to do it, it would definitely be November. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're getting closer. Now, do you have to I know you know, when you're an NHL player, you're training to be in shape, right? You're working out. Do you train to be in shape for Shoresy? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you standing in front of the mirror? Like, obviously you got to memorize your lines. How long does it take for you to memorize do you just do one episode at a time? How does it work when you're preparing?
Yeah. So you get sent the script ahead of time. By the time you get there, the night before, we shoot it out of order. It'll come the night before, which scene, which episode, right? So you got your storyline really, and the script, and you open it up, and this is what I do. I mean, some people wait till the day of. I like to know going in, so I just highlight all my lines, go through them. Like I said, I've worked on different shows. On Shoresy, we tend to do, some scenes are long, some scenes are 20 pages plus. For those that are in the industry, that's a lot. I worked on Hudson and Rex. We're in our 6th year now, I believe, season 6, and I've never seen a scene more than 6 pages. So we frequently do them more than 20. I think it's also by design as well. We're in the locker room a lot, and there's a lot of people speaking. But it's not so much the overwhelming amount of lines that I might have. It's when to chime in, and you gotta. It can't be that you're memorizing it. You got to memorize it and be acting. So the first bunch, you're just kind of memorizing to chime in at the right time. That's why when we're on the road there, we often stay close and we just go over the scenes the night before. Again, not all actors do that, but as hockey players, we get together. It might be a beer or two involved. It's just easier to go through it all. That's what I do in that sense. Yeah, that's how I prepare.
That makes sense. You can send your text 833-401-1440. Put in your phone once, just save it under Sports 1440, and boom, you've got it. 833-401-1440. Hey, Terry, big fan of Hudson and Rex, but I have a hard time digesting the portrayed frequency of murders in St. John. LOL. What's up with that? Dunner in North Van.
Well, thanks, Dunner. I don't know if it was you or Dunner that needs to add the S onto that, because it's St. John's, not St. John. St. John's in New Brunswick. It's a ways away. It's a nice place. St. John's is in Newfoundland, where I am. Yeah, well, same thing there was a show a little while ago called Republic of Doyle, where I got my start. And, my buddy Alan Hocko was the lead writer and actor, played Jake Doyle. Same sort of thing. I mean, that show I know was going to take place in Toronto, but for many reasons, it was more desirable to do it here, especially that there was a lot of Newfoundlanders. And then once that happened, I think Hudson and Rex, it's similar in that it's kind of a detective/cop show that takes place in St. John's. So I know I don't know what our crime level actually is, but I know that it's one of the lower rates in Canada, North America by extension. And no, there's no reason to be afraid, but it does make for a good plots and TV show for sure.
I like it. So now we've had lots of requests for this. Can you tell me, or our audience, more importantly, if you can regale us with your Mike Milbury draft day or draft interview story? What happened? Because Struds has had some interesting Mike Milbury stories over the years. Do you have is it a draft day, draft interview story? What's the Mike Milbury story?
Well, first of all, it is a draft story. It's the day before the draft.
Okay.
Now, I would really have to frame the punchline a lot differently, because this is a show that I'm guessing I can't curse on, right? So the punchline is a very derogatory term.
Okay. Does it rhyme with puck?
That's in there, yep.
Oh, okay.
And it's the act of it. It's not just the word. I'm explaining the act of what that means. So I can tell it if you like, or you can just buy my book or check it out online. By all means, I can try to what's the word? Bubble wrap.
Well, if it's not, because if it ruins a story by having to take out certain verbiage, then we won't ruin the story.
Not only, but I don't know if it'll ruin it, Jason. Sorry to cut you off. I just think it might. Astrology, okay, whatever. But I think this might offend people. I do.
Oh, okay. So it's that bad. All right.
I think it's or that good.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Which book is it in?
My first one. It's
Okay.
probably the most popular
'Cause I've read
story in
your-
it, to be honest. I get asked this a lot, and it happened right there in Edmonton. Is it the Royal York? It's one of those, or the hotel, or Crown Plaza, maybe? Is there a hotel downtown there? What's the name
there
of
is
it?
there is the Crown Plaza downtown.
That's where it took place.
The Hotel Mac. There's a few other big ones. So, all right, okay. Well, because I've read your second book, but I didn't read your first book. So now you know what? There's a good little sales pitch to go read your first book. I'll have to get on that. So
Yeah, there you go. I mean, who knows? Maybe you can proofread or listen, because I told it online. I think it's one of the Chicklet stories. And then if you want, I can tell it next time. Like I said, I don't want to offend anybody. It is a decent story. I think it's a great story, but I know who we're talking to here, and anybody can be listening. And who knows? You don't want to be more polarizing than I already was with astrology.
okay, well that's fair. That's although I will say there's very few who were very offended by your astrology views. Most were kind of chuckling. But I do have this one from Farmer Scott. Do you read fortune cookies?
Same reason. No, I mean, I will to have a little bit of fun, but my daughter and I or something will open it up. But I put as much weight in that as I do, flipping a coin, whatever. It's all chance.
Okay.
And by the way, JG, I do work out for Shorzy. You asked me that earlier. Season 2, you will see, not to give too much away, but part of my whole nature of the show is that I worked out, I put on weight, and I'm back.
Oh,
okay.
so you're bigger, faster, stronger, like
For
all
season
the
2
NHL
more
players.
than anything. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Bigger, faster, stronger. Now, the other question was, after you fought Domi, did you get to go on a date with the girl that you told that you would fight Domi?
She's now married to my good friend. No. But
Oh.
we're friends, I consider all this many years later, I guess being 30 years almost, we're still good friends, and we still live in Mount Pearl, my hometown here, or she lives just outside. Married to one of my real good buddies I grew up and played hockey with on the Mount Pearl Blades since I was 8 years old. And
Okay.
they're unbelievably happy with kids I see all the time at the soccer field now that play with and against my daughter, Penny Lane. So it worked out.
Yeah. It worked out. That's great. Now, I do have to ask you about, here you are, and, you're 10 days away from training camp. The Edmonton Oilers roster is pretty much set for the most part. You've got maybe a few spots up for grabs on the fourth line. Like and if you're a veteran player, well, you probably feel good. You never feel 100% good. The game has changed now. It's not like you can come in and really make a name for yourself fighting. There's just not a lot of fights anymore, right? Like that doesn't happen. So you can be physical, but if you're a guy like Raphael Lavoie, who's, he's coming in now, what is like, how does he ensure? Because to me, I've always heard, just make sure you get noticed, right? And scoring's the obvious easy way to get noticed, but it's hard to do. So if you're Raphael Lavoie and you are giving him advice, what advice do you give him before camp? Because this is probably the best chance, and maybe the first chance he's really had an opportunity to make this team and to ensure that, he puts his best skate forward once training camp begins.
It was simple. I would for sure go in and make sure I got noticed. Now, look, that I know what you're saying, fight, but look, he's a big guy too. He's a prospect. He's a big guy. I believe he had a better second half than first. I know he finished with 25 goals down there in like 60 games.
Yeah, he was their best player in their last 4 months.
I heard he was before I knew I was going to do this show. I heard he was unbelievable at the last part of last season. I don't know if that means playoffs or going down. I heard he had like 1 goal in the first 10 or 12 games. So I believe that he turned it on now, and he's big. Okay. It's a little different. I identify a little bit more with Holloway, especially in this position, being that I believe Holloway can get sent down and you're not burned, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I've been there, and he shoots left, and so did I. I mean, I saw the world through his eyes. As far as Lavoie, I don't know. I'd be first in line. I would hit everything that moved. I know there's not a lot of fighting, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. I wouldn't think. I grab a veteran player and hurt them. But whatever, I would lend it, whatever, I'm going to go do it. I would block shots. I would just go the extra mile. I know that sounds easy, but not everybody does it, man. Just go out. And for me, it's going to sound silly, but I would, there's a way to talk to a coach without seeming like you're sucking up, like be really interested. If you're out there and you're really curious, open your mouth. I used to sit there and go, okay, what I'll just see what Valerie Bure does, and then I'll do that, or I'll just go last, and that wasn't the right approach. be positive, be confident, and I'm sure other guys. I heard McDavid, Desharnais had some nice things to say about him. After the game, when he apologized about making a pass, I think McDavid said, "You know what? It's all right. I don't care about stats. I want to win." Right? But just the fact that Desharnais was vocal, that he got to hear that, that's part of the learning process. So for me, I'd be as vocal as possible. I would hit everything that moved. They already know you got a little bit of talent. I mean, there's got to be some luck there. But yeah, that's what I would do. And equally, like I said, I identify with Holloway more.
Yeah, a young guy I think Dylan Holloway is going to get a chance here to start camp. I think he's on a third line, kind of penciled in with McLeod and Fogle, and then it's up to him to maintain that. Right. He's a young guy who can go to the minors. Luckily for Edmonton, it's not like, or luckily for him, I should say, like Matthias Janmark, I'm not sure at this stage is like a third line guy. You know what I mean? Like he can probably moonlight there, but I think ideally, if Dylan Holloway is just decent and doesn't soil the sheets, Terry, I think he'll get an opportunity to come out of camp and then go into the regular season. And then obviously confidence can change from veteran to rookie to whoever. It's amazing how it impacts players' seasons year to year. But I think you're on to something. Like Philip Broberg might be the one guy that I know is total different position, but he's the guy who's they're looking and say, geez, we want this guy to play. But man, like, we don't want him sitting in the press box or playing 5 minutes a night. So if he can't beat out Desharnais, I wonder if they contemplate potentially sending the minors, even if it's for a month, just to play 20 minutes a night.
I think that's an option. The other thing I think, and especially I remember going through this, again, my career is not one to look at and say, oh, he can talk from experience. Look, I can from the point of view of going to camp and looking at what I needed to do. Again, my injury happened, but barring that, I learned a lot when I was up there. And if I learned anything when it comes to opening nights and teams, I really don't think it matters. It used to be for me. I remember by my third year going, okay, this is like a 48, however many it is, 48 roster. Like whoever starts the year, it's not really going to matter. In 3 months, it's going to look different. And the playoffs, it's sure as hell going to look a lot different. So honestly, who's going to make the team opening night? I don't even, it goes in one ear and out the other kind of lately. I just look at what they got to work with. And eventually, I do think they'll figure exactly what it would do with Broberg, Holloway, Lavoie. He's definitely the most intriguing to me, is Raff, because of his size and the end of the year he had. And I just haven't seen as much of him as I have the other players. But, I look at it as just one big organization. And whoever starts the opening night, who happens to be there, who's healthy, who had a good camp. But 82 games, man, a lot of changes.
Well said. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. You can text us at 803 or 833-201-1440. You'd think I should know the text line by now, but 833-401-1440. And you can email us, Gregor at sports1440.ca. We'll return with 5 questions. We have Spec, also Robbie Schremp coming up before the top of the hour, and a little fantasy focus as well.
That's a
4:43, rolling through a busy Monday. Man, what a great show. If you missed any of our guests today, of course, we had Warren Moon, Andi Petrillo, Bronte, Terry Ryan, of course. Got more coming up. Fantastic roster of regular guests and guests that are going to pop in from now and then. So it's awesome. Text line is humming. And of course, 833-401-1440. Lots of good comments also going on in the live chat at Oilers Nation YouTube. Check it out. Hey, guys, I love Hudson and Rex. Also, I announced my first pregnancy through custom fortune cookies. That one comes from Elisa, a.k.a. Allie, the sports fan. So there you go. Custom fortune cookies.
Hey, maybe there's something to it.
Mm-hmm. Dare to dream. Got to try. You got to try. Why not? Who can't be against anything at this point? Although, really, when you're announcing a pregnancy, if you do it funny like that, I would love to ask Elisa, who did you announce your pregnancy to? Was it like a close circle of friends, or was it everyone? Right? Because that's.
I see that. Okay, I didn't get what Elisa was saying. Okay, that makes sense. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's good. I do. We have a few comments. Like we're only 1 week in, but there's been a lot on my mind that I've experienced over the summer that I will bring out in different topics. I'll save one of them for Thursday because I'm very curious about your responses, because I've noticed it, and maybe it's been on forever and I just haven't noticed it. But there's one thing that I noticed, and I feel like I gotta say something about it. Like, some people might not like it, but I just feel like we've jumped the shark. We've jumped the shark in one social media element that needs to be reeled back in. So that's coming up on Thursday. We'll get to that. Now let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. The tents are up and the sales are on, man. Unbelievable. 60% off listed prices. Stop in right now if you're looking for a great deal at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. I believe it is now 8 NHL franchises after the Vancouver Canucks and Quinn Hughes to their 15th captain in the NHL. How important do you think it is in this day and age to have someone wearing the singular C on the sweater?
TR?
Okay, so I think it's a judgment call. I don't think this is a question that you can just blanket generalize every team. For example, a few years ago, I think even 2 years ago, didn't the Canadians have no captain? But really, you could tell that they were out of the playoffs. They were grooming somebody. Ended up being Suzuki. Makes sense, but he probably needed an extra year. I think he was 19 or 20 when they decided that. For example, if Blackhawks don't have one, I mean, they might, one of those vets they brought in, but if they don't, they're probably waiting on Bedard in a couple of years, right? Yet, if the Leafs or the Oilers didn't have one, you'd say, well, why isn't Connor McDavid captain? Is he a bad teammate? What's with those big 4 in Toronto? They can't have a captain? So not that you need to listen to outside noise. And last year I talked about who should be captain, and we can't be all commenting on that because we don't know in the room. But I think sometimes the situation, you need one and sometimes you don't. If all things being equal just objectively, if there was no fans involved, no pressure from the outside noise, no media, inside the room, no. I tell you, I can remember all of the leaders I played with on any team in any league. I don't recall who was captain, and not every time,
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think that having a C changes it. I also think there is something that's in professional sports. It's being part of it. And, Suzuki, they're like, hey, we want him to be captain in the future. Okay. But I don't think naming your best player the captain is always the best way to go about it, especially for young 19, 20, 21-year-old guys. Like, what's the point? Give it to a veteran. And you know what? Tell the veteran, hey, you're going to be the captain, but in a few years, we might give it to the young guy. I think any sane veteran would be like, yeah, I understand that. So that's part of my job as captain, is to help prepare him. So I'll hand it off to him. You don't have to take it from me. We'll do what Lee Fogelin did, where he said, hey, Gretz, now it's your turn. You're ready. You can be the captain. But he wasn't the captain the first years because he wasn't ready for it. Like, what the hell is he going to say? Okay, guys, let's work hard. Like, Bedard doesn't know anything about the NHL, right? Like, he probably could be really good, but that doesn't mean he's a captain. So I think some teams, they're like, well, we got this young guy. The young guys aren't going to get mad if they're not the captain in the first 3 years of their contracts. Right? Like, I don't know if I've ever met a player who was like, yeah, 3 years in the league, I'm in the NHL, I can't believe I'm not captain. Like, maybe I'm wrong in that, but I don't think they ever think that way.
And just to add one thing to that, everybody's experience, unquote, quote unquote, the word experience doesn't mean the same for everybody. I remember playing, I don't know, a guy like Stefan Quintal. His experience was, or Darcy Tucker or Scott Thornton. These guys had to work a little bit harder to get that regular spot. And, you know, maybe they're at the rink a lot earlier, and not, if it doesn't come for granted when you're younger, then, you know, your experience is one of a rugged worker that listens, that's focused, that's determined. Connor McDavid's experience is how to deal with being such a big celebrity prospect coming in and then bringing yourself to the level of everybody else that they can look at you as a peer. Everybody leads in different ways, and experience is so general that for that exact same reasoning, I don't think that each situation you can just have a definitive answer. I think it's a judgment call to each team.
All right, guys, question number 2. Who is the biggest surprise in the NFL so far in week 1? It can be good or bad.
Well, it's a tough question because there's lots of surprises, both good and bad. I will say the biggest surprise for me was how many players across the league offensively didn't have catches on guys that you would expect to be heavily involved in their offense. T. Higgins, London, Sky Moore. I didn't say that because Kelsey was injured. Right? You go in Goddard, go down the list, man. Like there was lots of guys who might have had one catch. And London had one target. Never mind 0 catches. So I was a little surprised by how many offensive players were virtually non-existent.
For me, the Lions, that upset was a bit surprising. The Cowboys, Jordan Love, a lot of people are surprised, although I got confidence in that guy. I still think there's a lot we don't know. But for me, it was Tua down in Miami. I forgot he was thrown to Tyreek Hill, first of all. That slipped my mind. I think got his sight out of mind for so long. But because he had a concussion, and I really wasn't sure if he was going to come back, and it's probably the storyline I was rooting for the most as an athlete who had a concussion in the past. I can't imagine being an NFL quarterback in that situation, trying to come back knowing that you're going to get labeled. You know, you can't jump out of the way for a lot of those, and even just a light sack hurts. So I don't know. For me, it was as much, you know, elation as an athlete to see someone succeed that maybe a lot of people hadn't counted on for other reasons. And he looks strong, man. He's throwing that thing. He was moving around the pocket. I like that guy, and I think that maybe I underrated him coming in.
Question number 3. Up at Alberta tonight, the Bills slight favorites. The over-under set at 44.5 points. Where's the money going tonight, guys?
I can't hear you guys anymore. The volume went off. Okay.
Let me answer that again, TR. You got me now?
Yeah, got you.
All right, okay. I'm just looking at Play Alberta. Bills Jets tonight. Bills slight favorites. The over-under is 44.5. Where would the money be going tonight?
Ooh, Bills Jets. Okay, so I got the Bills. Part of that is my bias wanting for Rodgers to lose. I used to like the guy, and he's pulled so much unteam like just you know, me, weird. I don't like the avenue this guy's going. It seems more selfish than team-like. So I'm really, for that reason, I hope he fails in New York. But I know I was surprised they had a way better defense last year than I thought, and that's got to mean something. He's reunited with his offensive coordinator, so I got every reason to think the Jets are going to do well. But I like Jake Allen, and I like this new kid, Dalton Kincaid. Saw a little thing. I mean, it's hard to keep track of every prospect coming up, but he looks good. I hope they connect. And for reasons that are totally personal, I've got Buffalo winning by a lot. There you go.
All right. So I will take the over because I took the under on Friday in the Elks game, and for once the under actually hit. So that's good. So I'm going to take the over. I think you know what, after something tells me this game might be as highly as entertaining as I hope, and maybe I'm just hoping, like the Miami Chargers game. That was easily the best game of the weekend, no question. And there's lots of potential on both sides. I also want the Bills to score a lot of points simply because the guy I'm playing has the Jets defense. So go Bills.
I mean, if it's like that Chargers-Dolphins game, I'm just praying for the Bills and Jets fans because that was a stressful one. Question number 4. The Elks picked up the win over the weekend against the Stampeders. How many wins will the Elks finish with this season of their 5 remaining games?
So they're 3-1 in their last 4. So good for them. And they play Saskatchewan, BC, Montreal, Winnipeg, Toronto. So Winnipeg, yeah. Toronto. I will say they go 2 and 3.
Now, I'll tell you this. I'm here talking on a sports radio show to a bunch of fans that a lot of them are very passionate, and I don't believe I'm qualified to answer this question, but because I don't want to add to the misery that the Elks fans have already had to go through for the most part, but they are 3-1 in their last 4, and I want to be optimistic. I have no reason to be pessimistic, so I'm going to say they go 3-2 in their last 5.
A win over the Edmonton fan base here. Okay, final question for you guys. Singer and actor Harry Connick Jr. celebrates his birthday today. In honor of that, who is your favorite celebrity to dabble in both?
Singing and acting. Ooh, TR. Who is it?
Well, I got 2 that come to mind. I mean, I got to say Dwight Yoakam because that would have been my pick other than Elvis. I mean, okay, so first of all, Dwight Yoakam, Newton Boys, Sling Blade, Panic Room, Cry Macho. Those are my favorite movies that he's in. A lot of people probably don't even realize that. And I love his music. But he's a second to Elvis, who I mentioned last week, and I will correct myself. I said that the only song he wrote was In the Ghetto, and I was wrong. He loved that song and was a huge fan, and he took it up on his own, but he didn't write it. Mac Davis wrote it. That's the name. And he did partially write 4 songs, but Elvis wasn't really a writer. But he was an actor. My favorite movie is in Viva Las Vegas with Anne Margaret. He plays Lucky Jackson, a race car driver. My second favorite is Blue Hawaii, and of course, Jailhouse Rock, where the legendary video comes from. He's the king.
That's a good one. I am going to go with a member of a band that in my late teens, early 20s, I quite appreciated. He became a very good actor in one of my favorite movies, Boys in the Hood. I'm going to go with Ice Cube.
Oh, nice.
I was a big fan of NWA. And you know what? Just like Ice Cube's voice is really like it's ideal, whether he's singing, it's very unique, stands out. And then as an actor, fantastic. So I'm going with Ice Cube. Cons?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a guy who was a rapper as well and then kind of dabbled. I think he did both. 2 different names, though. Donald Glover when he's acting. He was in Community, Atlanta, and then Childish Gambino when he raps.
Oh.
So I'll go with the combination
I
there.
thought you were going Will Smith when you started that. He was a rapper.
That would have been a good one. Yeah,
He was
I
a
thought
rapper
about it.
and a slapper.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what he is. Elvis, though, man, that's unreal. And it's, you know what, Terry, I just so people get a glimpse. Terry called me after the show on Thursday, said, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry, but I misspoke about In the Ghetto." And I'm like, "Dude, that's all right." But he was like, no, I got to correct myself there. He didn't write that. I don't want to put out falsehoods. So, TR, I like your dedication to accuracy, which is
well, I want people to
nice.
if I want people to respect my opinions, I can't be sitting here slinging crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's very true. Hey, there'll be no crap slinging right now because the Con Man is coming up with a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. Just like you, they're very excited to have Sports Talk back on the radio full-time on 1440. They're so excited that right now the Compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Go in store or online at edmontonkubota.com.
Week 1 in the NFL wraps up tonight as the Buffalo Bills travel to Jersey to take on the New York Jets. Kickoff set for 6:15. You can join me at the Lewis Estates Canadian Brewhouse for this one. The Kansas City Chiefs and defensive tackle Chris Jones agreeing to a 1-year contract, ending his holdout per multiple reports. The Vancouver Canucks named defenseman Quinn Hughes as their 15th captain in franchise history. He served as an alternate captain last season for the first time. He had 7 goals and a career high 76 points in 78 games. Major League Baseball, the Jays are in action, getting going in about 10 minutes, taking on the Rangers. Big series there. A lot of games going on right now. The Cardinals lead the Orioles 1-0. That's in the top of the second. Elsewhere, all these games are scoreless. Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Diamondbacks, Braves, Phillies, and Pirates, Nationals. Elsewhere, the Marlins taking on the Brewers. The Twins host the Rays. Cubbies take on the Rockies. Giants host the Guardians. Padres taking on the Dodgers. A one final from earlier today in game 1 of their doubleheader. The Braves knocked off the Phillies 10-8. And the Royals White Sox, they will be postponed due to rain in the Chicago area. They'll make that one up tomorrow in a doubleheader. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Sportsnet's Mark Spector, as well as former NHLer Robbie Schremp. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
Thinking about solar power? Action Electrical wants to eliminate your entire home or business power bill and keep more cash in your pocket. With effective paybacks in 5 to 9 years, give solar a chance with Action and put your lazy roof to work. Alberta is the second highest province for the amount of full sunlight hours, and with system life exceeding 25 years, solar power is like a McDavid draft pick. Still have questions about solar power? Contact the professionals at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Hey sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Get incredible savings on great products with the lowest buy. Only at Buy Low Foods.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free Radio Player app and listen wherever you go.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice, because I speak of the pompatus of love. People talk about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong, doing you wrong.
Just after 5 o'clock. How are you? Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We have Mark Spector coming up, Robbie Schremp. We'll have a little fantasy football. Also, as we do it every day on the show, we make a $20 wager. We have 3 picks. We parlay it all at PlayAlberta.ca. And anything we win at the end of the month goes to charity. We're helping out Kidsport. this month. And so we always look for a listener interaction. If you have a play tonight that you think is pretty good, text it to 401-1440, 833-401-1440. Text it in and hey, no, you could use it. And hey, you could be helping out Kidsport if you get it right. So let us know. Now, let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. As they are heading into a busy time, and you know what that means. They're hiring. If you want to work for a fantastic company, huge sports fans. If you're a sports fan, you'll fit in well. Great culture, great unity. Check it out, Indeed.com, and look up GS Construction as we welcome in Mark Spector from Sportsnet. Once again, Spec, happy Monday. How you doing?
Doing great, Jay. What's going on, man?
Well, lots is happening, man. It was a busy weekend. CFL, that was quite the game. I don't know if you could ask for a better finish for the hometown Elks. It did not look good when you had 11 passing yards midway through the third quarter. But then, you know what? Young quarterback, he found his legs, found his arm, and the Elks offense got rolling. And then they get a final play of the game-winning field goal by Mr. Faithful. And he's waving as the queen in the locker room afterwards. There's probably 4,000 to 5,000 people on the field. You know what? And it was a perfect night for football. Like, you couldn't, like, if the Elks are going to get back into the psyche and emotion of their fans, that's the way to do it.
Oh, my goodness. You're right. Every single box got checked. I've even forgotten how poor the Elks played for 3 quarters because they played so well in the fourth quarter. Right? I mean, what they have? I think they had 21 passing yards through 3 quarters. I'm looking at the scoreboard going, what? Like, is that a typo? But, you know, here's what I'm going to say. Look, the Elks have been looking for a hook here in the city for a long time, right? They've been looking for something, anything that people can grab onto and latch onto and you know, a player, a face, a name. If Trey Ford doesn't have his face all over every bus in this town, if he's not at every appearance all winter long, I mean, that guy should be dropping the puck at the home opener for the Oilers. This guy should be everywhere starting like 5 minutes ago until next season starts, because he is the man. He's handsome. He's good. He's young. He's fast as the wind, right? You need a guy, they got the guy.
Since Gizmo Williams, like Tony Tompkins, you know, he had some time. Donnie Ashley, decent punt returner and stuff. But as far as like a guy who people waited to see that was that entertaining, honestly, I'm not saying because Giz was on a totally different level. But what Trey Ford does, he might be the most exciting player the Green of Gold have had. Not the best, the most exciting since Giz.
Well, first, I mean, 2 things. Giz did it for a lot longer, so I'm not passing over Giz yet for a guy that's
no, I'm just saying, no, he's the most exciting since Giz.
I know you're not either. I know you're not either. But you know what else? Gizmo wasn't a quarterback, right? This guy's a Canadian quarterback here in our town. Got every attribute you want. I mean, he looks like a young Tracy Ham at this point, or Damon Allen when he first showed up here. This young, like I said to you before, he's big, strong Canadian, and he's handsome, and he's well-spoken, and I've not met him. I'm not down there. Looks like he's smart and conversant and able to do the talk shows and able to go out in the community and think in his feet. Like, this guy's not, you know, when I see him speak, I see a sparkle in his eye, and I see a guy that's ready for the spotlight. And oh my goodness, are the Elks ready to have a guy that someone wants to put a spotlight on? I mean, this is the guy. This is a gift from the football gods for the Elks, and I hope to goodness that they take full advantage of him, because, I mean, you couldn't ask for better.
No, you couldn't. The Edmonton Oilers continued on. They had a skills day today with their captain skates, and Adam Huxley, formerly in the organization, who now works as a skills coach for Pep. He was out there running all the drills and everything like that. It really, as I was watching, and I watched the second group, I stayed behind and watched the second group a bit. Okay. And I was really focusing in on Brandon Sutter, because Spec, the more I look at it, like, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I'm just like, I want Brandon Sutter to be my 4th line center. He's
So do I.
6'3". Face off.
So do I.
He's a right shot center. He's defensively responsible. He's got enough offensive upside, right? He's always had good hockey sense. It's all about, is the foot speed there from 2 years removed, and how does his cardio handle it, right? He says he feels great now, which is awesome. But I just, I watched it and I felt like, man, like here's an opportunity for a guy. He's going to come in Edmonton on a team where he could fill a really important role and have a chance to win. Like, this is the ideal situation for him. And you know what? I'm looking forward to talking to him, but I was watching closely in the drills, and like Spec, I didn't see anything from just a pure skating standpoint. Now, of course, it's not game pace. I get that. So that's, and I'm not even sure I can get that in preseason. That's the problem. Like, how will they know if Sutter has the pace? Because we all know preseason pace is like maybe the last 2 games, maybe 80% of the regular season.
You know what? I always say it, Jay. The players know, right? The players know if a guy can do it, if he's fast enough, if he's good enough, if he's faking it, right? If he's, if he looks like he's going to be good for a little while, but not for the long term. First of all, the players know. Second of all, the coaches are paid to know. And you know what? Here's what I like about Brandon Sutter, or what I think about Brandon Sutter. Okay, here's a guy. So yeah, he's had 2 years off after suffering long COVID. That's never good at his age. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you there. However, here's a guy who's had a career that's been interrupted with injury all the way through. This guy has just had injury troubles. That's who he's been in his career. Some guys are like that. His uncle Daryl was like that, right? His uncle Daryl had a lot of injuries in his career, and so did Brandon. But now you got the guy coming off of 2 years of not playing, so he should be absolutely as healthy as he could be. And the last thing is, Jay, you only want 9 minutes a night out of this guy, right? That's all you want. He's not coming in he's been as high as a second line center in his career. I think, he's a career third line center. And on this team, he's a fourth line center. So if ever there was a time when Brandon Sutter might be able to give me 9 minutes a night, this is the time. If you can't do it here, Jay, I probably can't do it anywhere.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. I just think it's almost like a gift opportunity, because if you would have said at the start of the summer, the Oilers are going to sign a player for probably league minimum, who's 6'3", can win 53% of his faceoffs, is good responsibly defensively, can kill penalties, you'd be like, oh my goodness, sign me up. And that might happen here. And so it could be like a real win-win for both parties involved. And as I was sitting down, I'm crunching some numbers, because we know the Oilers are going to start with 21-man roster. I don't see any way you can fudge the numbers to get to 22 even.
Nope.
But when you look at accrued cap space, and I look at Raphael Lavoie, and people are like, Raphael Lavoie hurt himself because, you know what, he didn't take the $775, whatever. But he still makes $100,000 and a bit less than Derek Ryan and Matthias Janmark, etc. Do you think there's a chance? We saw it last year, Matthias Janmark, a little bit 21-man roster. Do you think there's a chance that one of those veterans gets put on waivers?
No. Nope. Absolutely not. Derek Ryan is as sure a thing for a fourth line player as you could possibly want. He's a giant character guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Derek Ryan's Wayne Gretzky, but I am saying give me a fourth line player who can play center, play the wing, who can win faceoffs, who can kill penalties, who is of the highest character. And who can give you 12 goals if you get some chances and never get in the power play. That guy makes my team every day out of every year. That's Derek Ryan. And Janmark, there was some roster things going on last year, and that's why he got sent down. I understand it. It's a cap situation, so never say never. But they like Janmark. I know the coaches like him. I like him. He's an old veteran guy who you don't even notice him in October, November, December, January, maybe even February. But then when we get into March and April and May, you're sure glad you have him. So to me, he's part of this team. Could he get caught up in some roster dance and have to go down? I guess Jay could. They all can. But I think Janmark's a big part of this thing. He busts his foot last year in the first game of the playoffs. That's no fun. But I think he's a big part of it.
Yeah, you know what? It was funny. I talked to a few coaches about that, and they felt like that was a loss that people kind of maybe undervalued, is to just some of the small things that he does. He also, this has nothing to do with anything unless you're a jersey collector, but he's changing to number 13 this season. He wore 13 a lot before, so he's going from 26 to 13. So that's 2 years in a row now. A new player will be wearing number 13, and he's hoping he has a little bit more success in that number this year than 13 did last season. So
who was 13 before Puljujarvi?
Oh, before Puljujarvi? Oh, jeez. That's a good question. I have no idea. I know German Titov wore 13, and there's probably some other guys that have worn in the decade.
Lensman wear it a million years ago, but I'm trying to think of the most recent guy that had it before Puljujarvi, and I can't think of him.
No, you know what? Did Zoltok? Connor, who is it?
Jason Garrison.
Jason Garrison.
Camilleri before that. David Desharnais. Yeah.
Camilleri. Desharnais. How could you trade
Camilleri?
Desharnais?
That's right.
The guy made the trade all worthwhile because of one game against San Jose. It was unbelievable. So that was it's true though. Right? It got him through the series, man. That had the goal
he
in
was
his
a one-game pickup.
Oh no, he was good, but that one game, that helped them win the series. That makes the trade. All people were they only traded for Desharnais. I'm like, what are you talking about? He basically we scored the overtime winner, had an assist. It was 3-2 in the game. Are you kidding me? Like that one game makes the trade all worthwhile all day, every day. As the Oilers rookie camp gets going in Penticton, and there's Calgary and everybody's back in there, which for many years was a great event. I think it's good that it's back. Edmonton's roster obviously is a little bit different than it was before because I'm not sure there's any, and I don't think Lavoie is going there. So I don't see anybody on that roster, Spec, who's going to make an impact this year. Or do you think there's somebody who midway through the season, do you think Bourgault gets any games this year? Is there any other young player that you think could surprise and get some games later in the season in Edmonton?
The only thing, not any of them that are going to Penticton, because Bourgault, to my understanding, Bourgault's not going to Penticton either. So if the question is, are any guys in Penticton going to play? The easy answer is not unless there's about 500 injuries. For Bourgault to play, there has to be, Lavoie is going to have to not be good enough, for one. There's going to have to be a bunch of injuries, and he's going to have to be killing it in Bakersfield. Listen, you got to always remember, in a cap system, everybody's kind of thin. Depth isn't great in any good team. Like, guys don't have a whole bunch of great players that aren't on their team. So if injuries come, on the back end, who's your first guy that comes up tomorrow if there's injuries? Is it Niemelainen?
I think so.
Probably Niemelainen. So he's not a bad. I kind of always liked Niemelainen. I like the aggressive part of his game. Sorry?
Yeah, he could fill in for a week to a month. I don't think it would be terrible.
Like I say, the one thing he brings is he steps up on guys, and the Oilers don't really have a lot of that. Unfortunately, the rest of his game hasn't been there to support those minutes when he's doing his thing. But you know what? I can't give you. I mean, that's our guys. Bourgault's your top right winger. It depends. Does Sam Gagner or Brandon Sutter end up on the farm after their PTO, because they're the next guy coming up if they do? Niemelainen's your first defenseman coming up after that. Who knows who's down there? So
Gleason,
who's the goalie down there? Is it Pickard again down there as the goalie? Is that Edmonton's third goalie these days?
Rodrigue was very good last year. I think he might, Pickard might be the guy if he's just going to back up and play. But I think if they're looking to say, hey, depending on how this season goes, but the way Rodrigue played down the stretch last year, I think he might get a look first, potentially.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're finally at a point where I don't want to say this too callously, but I don't really care that much about who's in Bakersfield because the team up here is really good. We used to be sitting here waiting for as Connor McDavid said the other day, waiting for the first round pick to come save us and get us into the playoffs. We're not there anymore, and I kind of like it.
Oh gosh, yeah. You ask any Oiler fan, I think they've read that book enough that they'd rather go.
Oh boy,
at this point for sure. Spec, have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
I thought you were going to ask me for my favorite singer that made a movie, and I was going to pay homage to the last guy in this spot and say Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, he was good in that one movie, that's for sure. So he's actually a ridiculously talented artist. So that's
right.
Good. Yeah.
And guys who are Sagittarians also have a great sense of humor and a great conversationalist. So I just want you to know that as well.
So do you know any? Who's a Sagittarius?
See you later, buddy.
That's Mark Spector. In case you had missed the Terry Ryan earlier on Ryan's rant, he has some questions about astrology. If you missed it, we'll have it up later on YouTube and on our Facebook page and everywhere else, so you can check it out. When we come back, former first round selection of the Edmonton Oilers, Rob Schremp, and he's actually going to join us live at 7 a.m. That'll be about 7:20 in Hong Kong. He will join us next to talk about his new job in hockey on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live on Sports 1440.
McCafe now.
What a lovely Monday afternoon. Welcome back to Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, we're getting we'll tell you what our three picks are coming up in 15 minutes time for tonight. I'd love to have read the horoscope. Tell me if we're going to win. Maybe for fun, for Terry, we'll do a pick day based solely off of horoscope predictions. Who knows? Maybe it'll work. We'll find out. You never know, man. Let's be honest. Cons, you never know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Anyway, let's go around the NHL now. Brought to you by McDonald's. For a limited time only, you can enjoy the Mighty McMuffin or the Mighty McGriddles breakfast sandwiches with bacon, sausage, egg, and cheese on a McGriddle or a McMuffin, only at McDonald's. And we are joined now by a gentleman who is the 25th overall selection in the 2004 NHL entry draft, played for the Islanders, Oilers, and the Atlanta Thrashers in the National Hockey League, then spent another 7 seasons playing hockey in Europe. And he now just has himself a new gig. Very interested to hear, as he is the director of hockey operations for the Hong Kong Junior Tigers. Rob Schremp joins us on the line, of course, on Sports 1440, and those watching live on the Oilers Nation YouTube. Rob, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Mr. Gregor, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mr. Whoa here. I'm good, though. I like that. Kind of, but not really. Now, you're in Hong Kong. It's 7 a.m. in Hong Kong. Is that right?
Yeah. We're 7:25 a.m. So
okay,
we're ahead of it.
So tell me, as the director of the Hong Kong Junior Tigers, what does that entail? Are you just, I'm assuming you're there to help grow the game of hockey.
Yeah, with the organization here, the Junior Tigers, you have about 600 registered players, whether it be learn to play, learn to skate, the elite programs, the Island League. So it's a pretty big organization, and there's some other initiatives too. So looking at putting in, I think we got a bid in for the Tournée de Quebec to head over to that. I got to go twice as a player when I was young, so to be able to do it as a coach would be pretty cool. And then the next piece is the ASL, the Asia Super League. So there's some pretty cool initiatives that are going on and growing the game, like you said, growing the game, but also kind of giving this organization a little bit of a step up as far as what they offer and what we're developing.
So that's one organization. How many organizations are there separately in Hong Kong now for hockey?
I mean, I don't have the total landscape. I've been here about a month, but from my understanding, it's like four organizations roughly. Okay. There might be a couple more that I'm missing, but again, I'm getting my footing and kind of getting the backdrop. So, but from what I see, it's 4, and they're running, their programs and getting more and more players involved and growing at the grassroots level.
Which is key for any country that wants to grow. You look at Canada in soccer and basketball, it's not a quick fix. It takes a while. It likely takes sometimes 10, 15, 20 years to really see the fruits of it. But it's something where, hockey now, I think it's changed in a lot of ways in certain aspects. Some of the stuff's still the same, but there's definitely more of an emphasis on creativity and skill development. There's not as much just dump and chase and run guys over and see if you can light someone up with a massive check. Hey, that's still part of the game, and that's nice. But is it easier to introduce people, do you think, to the game the way it's going now than it would have been 20 or 30 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's totally different. It's, the style play at the top level, right? Like you just touched on it. It's much more skilled. They're highlighting different things. It's less about fighting and that rough and tough part, which we all, if you're a true hockey fan, you love all of the parts of hockey, fighting, hitting, all that good stuff. But there's also other pieces to love as well. The skill level, the speed, and, that kind of chess match is unique in itself. So I think the game's really changed, evolved a lot. The rules changed in 04, 05 in that lockout. And I think now we're starting to bear the fruits of that, whatever, 18 years down the road or whatever that number is. And the game's totally changed. And I think we can all agree on that. And it's an easier sell. The only thing is now is it's a matter of the game's also gotten really expensive for youth hockey. So it's tricky. Because it's not, in the sense it is for everyone, but for cost wise, it's not for everyone. I know our family we would not have been able to play if it was $450 for a twig and $1,200 for skates. so it's tricky.
No, that's totally fair. Rob Schremp joins us from Hong Kong, executive director of the Hong Kong Junior Tigers now. Rob, how many rinks are there in Hong Kong? And you don't have to give me exact, but is it, are they up to 10, 15, 20? Or is it still a challenge to find good ice in Hong Kong?
It's up to, I think there's 6. I might be mistaken on the number. It's 5 or 6, and they're different. Most of them are carved out of malls. They're in the mall space, almost like the Elements in Kowloon. It's a mall rink. Mega Box is a mall rink. The one on Discovery Bay, it's in a mall. That one's probably the biggest and best. It's a great facility, and really, really nice. They ran Skate Asia out of there. They just had like 2,000 figure skaters come through about a couple weeks ago. So it's a really nice venue for ice sports. But yeah, I'd say there's around 6. And then, Shenzhen is not too far away from us. So travel into mainland China is not too difficult. It's pretty easy as far as distance wise. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of, rinks to facilitate the interest so far.
Now, Rob, you mentioned you'll be coaching as well. And so, you're coaching now. Do you coach all different levels? Do you have one specific age group that you're coaching yourself and then overseeing the whole program?
I'm kind of have my hands. I'm the director of all of it. So I have my hand in most of the practices. We have the Island League, which runs, U16 down to U9, and to be on the bench for those and work in the bench. There's 6 teams in that league. So kind of just being around to support the development. I won't be on one specific bench, but just to be there and kind of give them in-game stuff and, help them see the game in the course of play. So the U13 level is that'll be my main focus per se. That's the team we're talking about, ASL, Asian Super League, as well as going to Quebec. So that elite group is the one that I have my, pin my name to, so to speak, is my main focus.
It's interesting how you say that you're overseeing all the practices and specifically the practice plans, because to me, even in Canada, where it's a hockey mad country, I think at times we still fall behind because hockey's a late developing sport for lots of kids. It's still statistically proven that it is. And so some kids at the age of 8 are more advanced. Some kids don't start playing until they're 9 or 10, but a lot of the emphasis is on the top tiers. The top tiers. And so they get the best coaches. And then a lot of times it's dad or mom volunteering at tier 2 or 3. And you might have some really good athletes, and they're not getting proper practice plans. So you outline the practice plan. Even if you're not there for every team's practice, they're going to have a sense of, okay, this is what we work on. And I think that's genius, because I think that helps all the kids, because you might have a kid who's a really good athlete who's just learning at 10, and he might not have all the skill set until he's 14, but he'll understand what he's doing at a younger age, which is beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really well said. And that's the truth of it. You want to give them that support, being the good, the good information. I think whether you're elite or, you're elite at some AAA level or single A, like the information and what the plan is and what you're trying to develop is what's important. Again, that information in the drills, just because someone can do it at 8 better than someone at 11 doesn't mean that, like you said, later on down the road, the development catches up. That's what's really important is just giving them, what to focus on. My plan coming in, I set some hero zones up for myself, for the big picture at the end of the year, what I would be satisfied with having developed here over the course of the year. And, it's important that we touch on those, and each practice plan has a bit of each one of those in it. And that's the purpose. And also being communication with the kids, let them know, like, this is the plan, like this is what we want to get towards, and this is why we're doing all this stuff. That's something that's changed too in today's era. It's like you get, as a coach, you got to explain the why, which is good. Why are we doing this? You might get that from a kid where 10, 15 years ago, a why question would have been like, you're a punk, shut up. Now it's more like if someone asks why, you're like, because A, B, and C. And if you can't explain the A, B, and C, then you got to kind of take a deeper dive as a coach, because I think it is important that you know exactly what you're giving out.
Rob Schremp. So Rob, do you mind sharing, like, what are some of the things that you're looking to gain by the end of the year? Like, what are some of your focal points?
I set my really obtainable goals, 10% faster in the speed. We do testing, and we test the kids in the first couple of weeks, and I have all of them kind of staggered because it's a lot of players, so you can't do one big testing. Shooting, same thing, 10%. And then another piece was passion, and there's different metrics to gauge. It's tough. Some of the stuff is not easily gauged, but we're going to put some metrics to it and some baselines and try to meet those on a quarterly basis, so to speak. So keep checking in with the coaches.
Yeah. So when you want to say get faster, then obviously you must have some drills in your mind that, hey, if we work on this, like, simple thing is like a proper start, but then a crossover start, right? Different things like that. What do you incorporate that you think is going to help kids be able to improve their speed?
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you break it down, you reverse engineer it, so to speak. You figure out what you need, again, a fast start, stride, progression, and all the stuff inside of our drills that are going to add up. So we test them to get the baseline, and then we set it in 2 months. We're going to have another testing. So inside of that 2 month box, that's what we're working on: explosive starts, stride progression, stride lengthening, all that good balance drills, and it's all going to add up. And that's our target, is to get better on those numbers for their speed test. Shooting, same thing. We're going to get a number, see what their power, what their shot looks like as far as speed. And then we're going to add, weight transfer drills. We're going to be working on all these kind of things of, how to drive power behind the shot, snapping of the wrist. And then in 2 months, we're going to get another number, get another gauge. So the drills just kind of facilitate that. And then it's going to show the players the growth of why we did the drills, what we were shooting for in that small target of 10% better. And once they hit it, it's going to be exciting. If you say, we're going to be 80% better, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because you can't promise that. 10% you definitely can inside of a small window. And I think that's going to be a really cool organized plan here for, I like it where it's going. The coaches have all got their head around it and they're excited to do it. And I'm here to facilitate with drills. If they have, we're a team effort here. It's not Rob Schremp brings everything to Hong Kong. It's, I brought a staff in here as well. So we're working together as a group to kind of get those drills right and, get the development package together.
So how did this all come about, Rob? Like, did you make a presentation to the Tigers? Did they reach out to you? How did you become the executive director of the Hong Kong Junior Tigers?
Through a mutual friend, Rory Rollick, who's actually in Thailand. He's for Edmonton boy.
Yes.
I met him like 20 years ago when I was out there, maybe like 18 years ago. We had a mutual friend who just, the guy, Jason, had kept tabs on me. He always, for about 3-4 years, every couple of months, he'd send me a note saying hi and checking in, let me know how Rory was doing and such forth. And then out of the blue last March, he asked me, hey, my buddy's got a, director of hockey operations role. Would you be interested in the call? I said, yeah, I'll call. I'll have a call with him. And then it sounded interesting. So I flew out here and checked it out. And I thought, this would be a great place for my family and I, and why not give it a try and see how it goes? And that's, the rest is history. Now we're here.
Now, have you seen Rory lately? Is he still like rocking the looking like a California surfer haircut?
I haven't seen him yet. We're going to see him in the ASL, though. Him and I are co-commissioning that initiative, the ASL. So I'll see him in Bangkok here, I think, in November, and then in South Korea in February, and then again back in Bangkok in February. So we'll see each other 3 times.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. So he's over. So you got a few Canadian guys that are over there really trying to help grow the game in the Asian community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Now, before I let you go, Rob, when you watch today's NHL now, and I saw you had an interview recently and you talked about, and there's lots of players, like certain guys, go back to any generation that you're like, man, I was almost born in the wrong generation and how the game's played then to how it is now. Are you okay with that? Do you look and say, damn, if I was 15 years younger, like when I look at Trevor Zegras was basically, what Rob Schremp was coming out of junior. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think in some regard, for sure. I think, he's got the flair. He's got that, he's got a lot of things to his game that are different and unique. And I think that was kind of right in the same wheelhouse I was. So different, unique, skilled, doing things, but now it blends in, right? So it's different time totally.
No, it totally is. And I know it's far enough removed. I think I can probably ask you this question, because I would hope anyway, it seems like you're in a really good space, but was there ever a time where you look back and said, hey, what would I have liked to have done different? Was there anything I could have done different? Or was that just your path and you're like, hey, you know what? It happens. It's like the NHL is hard. Like, let's be realistic. It's hard to get there and it's really hard to even stay there. When you look back on it and you have a beer, do you ever look and say, maybe there's something I would have focused on different or I would like to have done different for my career at all?
Not really, to be honest with you. I think if I went back, I would have gone full press and just been who I was.
Okay.
Being fine with, I guess, being Trevor Zegras of 2005, or not being Rob Schremp, because it wouldn't be Trevor. He was barely even born yet.
Yeah.
I would have been more myself, and I just kind of, I got to this place where I just got pegged like a YouTube guy or some crap. But the point, the reality of it was I could do all that stuff in YouTube, but I also was scoring 145 points in a major junior league. It wasn't just a YouTube guy. So it's kind of and then I got a little bit branded that part of it. I should have just went full force with it and just embraced it. And I'm skilled and I can do these things with the puck because someone else can't. Doesn't make me a punk. And it doesn't make the person that can't do it not good. It just, we're different. We're not on the same page. And I kind of got pegged a little bit like that. So it's just, I think more embraced it. And, I think back in it now too, my cousin is a major player at YouTube. I should have been asking him what to do and making a page. He does YouTube, manages their partnerships. I should have been riding that and I would have had the first one to have a YouTube channel. So I should have went all the way with it instead of, at some point I had to kind of like deflect from it for some reason.
Well, and you know what? And the reason I asked that was because we had Terry Ryan on earlier. He was an 8th overall pick, a 50-goal scorer in junior, similar to yourself. And as I said, if there was one thing he would have done different was he would have been more of himself and being like, he didn't ask a lot of questions. He was like, oh yeah, I'll just do what Valerie Burry does rather than say, no, I want to do it this way. Right. And he said, because you're kind of programmed a little bit and hockey, I think, has changed somewhat that, nowadays, as you mentioned earlier, guys can ask questions and it's not looked upon negatively, or even just be yourself and be, hey man, I'm going to toe drag some guy here. And yeah, I get that I'm not going to do it when it's, protecting the lead with 30 seconds left, for instance. But, it's interesting how, because if you had to somehow not be yourself, then you're likely not going to be able to perform to the best of your capabilities. Fair?
Oh, absolutely. You're trying to be somebody else, which is not how you got there. And that's not how you're going to survive. So I think it's tough. Yeah, I think that it's tough to have that kind of, I guess, strength and belief in yourself when you're young. Like you're right at the cusp of what you dreamed about your whole childhood of making. So you're going to do whatever, you know what I mean? You're going to take whatever is in front of you, so to speak. You kind of, So I guess that strength of us, like, I guess, embracing it and be comfortable in my own skin, which I think the kids are now. They're not getting like, molded, or it's tough to say it this way. Like when I was my era, you had to like buy your time. You know what I mean? You had to like eat. What's the right word? Molded, or like
they want
it was ranked.
Molded. Yeah, into somebody that maybe wasn't your authentic self as how you were as a player, and just say, well, you know what, we want you to be this way. And in hindsight, obviously, it doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot. So that's another attribute that obviously in your experience, because coaching nowadays, the X and O's are one thing. The communication factor is such a huge thing as well for kids. And I think your experiences, that's something that you're going to be able to share and help your experiences with a lot of young kids so they can maybe understand it and know how to deal with it better.
Yeah, then communication is key, and information is as much as you can tell and talk about, and not all information. It's not to say that what I have to say is the end all be all, but I'll give the players everything that I've experienced, everything I know in a situation, whether it's on the ice, off the ice, whatever it might be. I'll give them as much information as I understand, and then hopefully that helps. That's the best you can do in a situation on the ice. Same thing. This is why we do it. This is the details in the move, or what we're trying to get here. If we're trying to score a goal, how to set it up. Here's all the information. Now you go make a picture out of it. If I can help you walk one way. I know one way to do it for sure, or a couple ways to do it. If there's a way you want to do it, this is the information. Go play with it. Be creative. Yeah. But here's the end piece of what you're trying to get.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, Rob, we'll have to follow up in a few months to see how life is going, how the hockey development is going in Hong Kong. We really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
No problem. Good luck with the new show.
Appreciate it. That is Rob Schremp. He's the executive director of the Hong Kong Junior Tigers. Another few guys, Canadians over there trying to grow the game in Asia. It's fantastic. It's awesome. When we return, and that was Around the NHL brought to you by McDonald's, we will get to our fantasy focus and our Play Alberta picks. You can get involved, of course. 833-401-1440 is our Jiffy Lube inbox text line.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio? It's 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online.
Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along the lane, you go down or return at 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good and live by.
Getting set to roll on. Edmonton Sports Leader TSN 1260. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Con man, we make our Play Alberta picks of the day. We do a $20 wager, and all the money we win, hopefully there's some by the end of the month, all goes to charity. This month it is for kids sport. Con man, did you make, because I know we got some good texts in. Did you make the final selections?
Yeah, we had a couple come in here, spread it out amongst the games tonight. Don't want to put it all in one spot. So one that came in, we had the under in the Bills and Jets. Gregor, I know I don't like that one. I know you don't like that one. We don't like to take the under, but Declan gave it the nod of approval as well. He's a Bills fan, so we're going to take the insider there. We're also going to take what we think is somewhat of an easy one, a little add-on. That's the Houston Astros to beat the Oakland Athletics. And
I like that. Yeah, sometimes you got to have an easy one.
Just a little add-on. We probably just jinxed it, but this is the one. This is a heart pick for me. The San Diego Padres to upset the Dodgers tonight. That $20 bet will cash into $123 if it goes through.
Yeah,
so
that's a big.
We're going for it.
I might have to put a ban on unders after today. We'll see. We'll see. If it loses, we might just say we're not ever going under. Doesn't mean we're going over, but we just might avoid it in the future. So here's the kid sport. Hopefully it wins. Now let's get to the fantasy report, brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated, and a proud partner of the MyShack group of companies. It's nextgentransportation.com. And Cons, it was a unique weekend for fantasy football. More so because there were some obvious starts that completely fell on their face.
Yeah. I mean, there were some guys that, I'll own it myself. I talked about it a little bit on the Frenzy today. Joe Burrow, I thought he'd throw one touchdown. I thought he'd complete a couple big plays. You have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you got Boyd, you got some playmakers. Even Joe Mixon in the passing game. In the past, he's shown that he could be a big time player. But certainly that was a mistake. And, by proxy with that, if you had T. Higgins, if you had Jamar Chase, receivers who we expect big things out of, it just was not happening in week one. On the flip side, though, Gregor, there was some surprises, right? I mean, you look at a few guys. Jordan Love, imagine if he would start at him. Tua Tagovailoa, we like him, but not too many people look at him as a fantasy juggernaut, and he absolutely shredded that Chargers secondary. Brandon Ayuk, a guy who, has all the talent in the world, but with the way Kyle Shanahan runs his offense, it hasn't necessarily translated on a consistent basis, and he goes off and scores 2 touchdowns. Michael Pittman with the Colts, kind of a random one there, takes a screen all the way. There were some surprising ones. We'll see how it pans out and how it trends for the remainder of the year. But yeah, some guys, some receivers out there, especially not being targeted in the passing game. Mike Williams, another one for the Chargers. They're hoping that changes because I know people invested pretty highly in them.
Also, now, depends, I guess. It only impacts you fantasy-wise if you have the Chiefs defense, I would think. But Mr. Clark has ended his holdout. He agrees to a 1-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's good news. I'm kind of surprised that's all he went with. So he's betting on himself again. So we'll see how that goes. There's some injury issues out there. John Harbaugh confirms that J.K. Hobbins that has a Achilles tear. So fantasy owners, that's not good news. He is done for the season. Austin Eckler is unclear if he's going to practice or not. So we'll see that. There's a few other guys that, Aaron Jones had a little bit of a hamstring issue. You saw that when he went into the end zone. They don't think it's serious, but man, he was off to an unbelievable start. And how he got that injury was just unfortunate because there was really no one around him. He's just running. All of a sudden, boom, you see him grab the back of it. But he kept running because normally sometimes you've seen guys like go down like they're shot. So hopefully it wasn't too serious. Now, tonight, what's your expectations for this Jets offense? We know that Roger knows his OC, right? They got Wilson. What do you make of the Jets offense?
Well, good to note for those who might be looking at Breece Hall. I mean, he is questionable to play. I don't know if we've got the final update there for him. If he is playing, obviously, I think that lessens the value of Dalvin Cook. You want him to get all those red zone carries, but Brees Hall, big-time playmaker. They're two tackles, both battling injuries. So if Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton obviously doesn't impact you directly through fantasy, but you got to factor in this Bills defense is very good. And if you're playing with a couple backup tackles, that could be a problem. So that could slow things down. I still like Aaron Rodgers, though, to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So if you've got Alan Lazard, Garrett Wilson, I think you got some pretty good picks there. The tight end position, Tyler Conklin, I don't know. We'll find out. I know in the past, Aaron Rodgers has been very hit and miss with his tight ends. Big Bob Tonyan occasionally would make the big play, but he wasn't someone you could rely on. I think this Green Bay, slip of the tongue there. New York Jets offense is still going to be loaded, even if there are injuries amongst the tackles. They're going to make it tough on Buffalo. I know Buffalo has a strong defense. I think we got Kyer Elam is going to be playing, and so is Micah Hyde. But they're going to make their plays, I think, and I think you'll be safe if you go with a couple receivers from the Jets.
And the Bills, what do you make of Diggs? I've heard some people wondering if, Diggs in Buffalo, if that's going to become an issue.
I mean, I don't know what the problem would be. I'm going to look at Declan and gauge what I see here, but he's a big-time Bills fan. I mean, you have Josh Allen. You have a guy who has an absolute rocket launcher for an arm. He can buy time, giving you chances to create separation and get open down there. I don't really know what the problem would be, but I don't know if I like his matchup tonight. Sauce Gardner is an absolute stud. He's shut down. It's me. I'm sending him to follow Stephon Diggs. I know you've got Gabe Davis as well, but I take my chances with other people. Stephon Diggs, I think, is a guy that can really break it open. So I think he's going to have Sauce Gardner all over him tonight, covered in sauce, and we'll see. I think that might be a risky play tonight.
And where are you tonight? Because the Con Man, every Monday, you will be live at the Canadian Brew House. Lewis Estates, correct?
Heading out to Lewis Estates, yeah. The old stomping grounds, the West End.
Oh, where you grew up. So all those who know the Con Man, stop in if you're looking. Great deals, by the way. Their package to win a trip to the Super Bowl is utterly amazing. You know how expensive Super Bowl tickets are now? Like, that's mind-blowing. You're going to get to go to the Super Bowl. So check it out. Mondays and Thursdays at the Canadian Brew House. Connor is at Mondays. Brandon, of course, will be every Thursday. So tonight, Lewis Estates, Canadian Brew House. You can join Connor Halley and enter in to win your chance to be going to the Super Bowl. Be a lot of fun. It has been a loaded show for you today. Want to thank all of our guests. If you missed any of them, you can go to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Obviously, go to jasongregor.com for the individual interviews. We had Warren Moon, Andi Petrillo, Rob Schremp, Spec, Ruben Bronte, and of course, our Monday co-host, Terry Ryan, was with us as well. So thank you all. The text line is humming. Emails is great in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We truly appreciate everyone who listens to the show. We're happy to have you. And tell a friend. And if you're watching on YouTube at Oilers Nation, please hit the subscribe button. Once we get to 20K, which hopefully is done before the season. We're going to be giving away tickets. People are going to be going just for subscribing. It's easy. It's simple. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports Center update brought to you by Ewell. They give you more than premium quality electrical products. Are you ready to elevate your projects? Contact Ewell to discuss how they can partner with your success. EWEL.ca. Good night.
Week 1 in the NFL wraps up tonight as the Bills travel to Jersey, taking on the New York Jets. Kickoff 6:15. You can join me at the Lewis Estates Canadian Brew House for this one. Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs agreeing to a new one-year contract, ending his holdout per multiple reports. And from the NHL, the Vancouver Canucks naming defenseman Quinn Hughes as the 15th captain in team history. Hughes served as an alternate last season. Major League Baseball, the Jays in action right now, tied with the Rangers at 2 apiece. Elsewhere, Phillies on top of the Braves 5-3. Pirates trail the Nationals 4-1 heading into the 6th. In the 5th, the Cards have a 4-3 lead over the Orioles. Yankees Rays still in a rain delay, as are the Mets and Diamondbacks. White Sox Royals postponed due to rain. They'll make that one up tomorrow. Later tonight, Dodgers host the Padres. Guardians taking on the Giants. Mariners up against the Angels. And the Cubbies travel to Colorado to take on the Rockies. We're back 7 a.m. with the Kevin Carius Show. Have a great night.
Nick Cafe now has cold brew beverages.